Greetings and salutations, wonderful people, whoever. So we're going, this thing is not showing me any comments on here, and it's not showing me, it says that nobody is here, you know? So I'm finna rock like, what is that, what's that old thing when they've had them social media influencers? You are so pretty. Thank you. I'm just gonna wing this joint and make it up as I go. Oh my goodness. Where did you get your shirt? Walmart. Thank you. Oh man. All right. We're gonna make it do it. Oh, hold on. I know what I can do. Let me get on this phone. Let me get it. Oh, I see it. Thank you, Master Menelec. Because this joker, I knew something was up when I tried to get the banner, and the banner wasn't there in the whatever. All right, whatever. But I can do this. I can do this. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone. All right, bet. Here we go. I'm gonna just have to go back and forth between the two. All right, so I see you. Peace, Master Menelec, Alba Harut, Aki Jason, Margie Marie Art. Peace to the Chief. Safta Ahava, Akoti Yafe, our new radio. We in here. So as you can see from the title, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. You just clicked on the button. I don't care. You know, we in here. Or if you just stumbled across a YouTube video and you just clicked on this button, we in here. But it's who's in your ear, right? And you can typically and generally tell when somebody starts speaking where it's coming from, if one is studied. And if one has studied and you start to hear the different points or the talking points of what they're coming from, usually if you're involved in politics and they're coming from the left or they're coming from the right, or they're just coming from something that some old text that somebody has read, and you can start to hear who has been in their ear. Even if when I was watching this movie called Remember the Titans, I don't know if y'all, Denzel Washington, starring Denzel Washington. And he's trying to get together a team to bring together a cohesive unit. And you start to see when they go to camp, one side was like, nah, we don't really mess with that. We don't rock with that side, right? Because somebody has been in their ear saying that this is what we do and this is what we don't do. Whereas then everybody else, one of them singing on the bus when they were going down to camp. And then once they finally get there, I think the dude's name, Bertier, I think that's his name. And there was another dude. And them two, I think, were like the best on the defense. And he was trying to tell him, was like, hey, you're really good, but why don't you block or do whatever for the team? And y'all know I'm gonna use sports analogies because that's my background. That's what I does. He was like, why don't you hold off the puller so that you can free somebody else up to make a play? And he's like, nah, man, I'm gonna do what I want to do because y'all ain't blocking for so-and-so. So this is what I'm gonna do, right? And I'm not gonna listen to the coach. I'm not going to listen to whoever was talking to him. I think that dude's name was Bertier. Me and names. So he's like, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm just going to get mine. I'm going to do my own thing. I don't have to listen because ultimately this ain't no team. You got some cats listening to themselves and doing their own thing. So I'm gonna start doing my own thing and not taking heed to whatever the coach is saying. So I'm going to start to big up myself. And sometimes when one is in a community, one steps around the coach, the head coach, the head chief Jagna, the El Capitan, whoever is in, because I'm just gonna listen to myself. Or, you know what, I'm going to step outside of that. And you start to hear when Chief starts breaking that down in episode 91, where it's just talking about the elders, and one is providing some leadership and some guidance, or it even starts talking about why one should have a pastor or a preacher or somebody to just help guide one in a direction. But sometimes people start to say, you know what? I'm going to do this for myself. I'm doing this for myself. I'm going for it, right? And we're going to pull from 3 different places. Actually, might be 4, depending on if we use the scripture now. But I'm not 100% sure. We're going to come from, majority of this is coming from Mind, Heart, and Words. So, and it's I pulled a couple things from that. The New Way and the blog. If y'all have not checked out the blog, then go over there and check it out. All right? All right. All right. So starting in the Mind, Heart, and Words, there's a question that is posed in Mind, Heart, and Words that says, is it possible that we can say things that actually are formulated from nothingness of the ether? Or is every statement an idea that we express as a product of an unseen causation within us all? And when I started looking at that, the couple things that started running through my head was, are these on the things that we think, are they generated from us? Are they being programmed? Just going, not even while I'm speaking out loud, but as I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Yeah, I'm going to either be a part of this team. I'm going to step around this team. I'm going to really embrace my role on this team. Or, nah, man, this ain't screw the team, because I'm trying to get a Heisman Trophy. I'm trying to get the Buckus Award, whatever the award that somebody is trying to get, only just looking at self-absorbed, looking after themselves. Now, is that generated from something within and just saying, I'm doing this on my own? Or is that programmed? Is that in somebody from when they're youth, or maybe some coping mechanisms maybe that somebody used in order, because they felt like they didn't have enough, or coming from an orphan mentality, or whatever the case may be. But I think it's then when I started looking at it, I'm like, okay, well then I think it's mainly in part due to one, taking in information, whether that be from music, whether that be the food that they consume, whether that be the people that they choose to hang around. There's always somebody or someone that's going to be in your ear. And when we start to even look at the readings that were suggested on the podcast, Chief Chief's podcast, then that would be when you start looking at the chaos machine, and you start looking at the stolen focus, right? Then when you look at those two, they start telling you how one is manipulating and psychologically programming and keeping people either focused on the screen and starting to inculcate thoughts to get them to now get this us versus them mentality, where now somebody starts to make some type of outlandish post, and then everybody just starts running with it in order to persuade them, to get them to say something or do something. And the dangers behind that, though, is that's where a lot of people get their talking points, regardless if it's rooted in anything or not. That's where they get the talking points to try to say, oh yeah, if you say this, then I'm gonna say that. You say this, then I'm gonna say that. Now, that's not, which is not being generated from your own autonomy of you making your own decision, but ultimately that decision has already been mapped out and programmed, right? And then when it starts to, so when we open ourselves up to certain information, and we open ourselves up to reading certain things and we're not really comprehending or understanding what's being said other than the feeling behind it, now we start to let it in. And when we let it in, these are certain things or thoughts that it's almost like somebody dropping a baby off at your front door. And they drop the baby off at your front door, and then you open the door and you bring it in. You say, oh, this pretty little thing, how did you get here? And you bring it in, and then the baby just nestles its way into your home. Well, certain words, certain phrases, certain things that we open the door to in our own psychological mind, we begin to let it in, and then we bring it in, and then it finds itself just nestled into our subconscious mind. And I'm gonna go for. I pulled a couple things again from Mind, Heart, and Words. So, go look. Go. It's not. It takes you all of maybe 10 minutes, but it's very dense to read. Just so you know. We look at the subconscious mind determines our interpersonal relationships and intelligence with intelligence that we exhibit within. So now the things that are in the subconscious mind, if they're determining the interpersonal, it ain't a matter of if, right? I'm saying they just have mind determines our interpersonal relationships and the intelligence that we exhibit within. Then now we got to look at what is actually in there. How did it get in there? And is it ultimately our own decisions that we have been making that say that I'm doing this for myself, right? I'm going to do this for myself. Or is it somebody else that has been programming that because somebody else is benefiting from you doing that for yourself? Are you getting off and you know what? I'm not a part of the team. I'm going to do my own thing, even though I'm going to claim I'm part of the team. But at the same time, doing my own thing, right? So if our subconscious mind is full of fear, then logic and even pragmatic thinking will only confirm and support our underlying fears. Now, this jumped out at me, and I put this in here because if fear is in our subconscious mind, then everything that we begin to do, our logic will start to be based on whatever we start to feel will keep us safe, not pulling us beyond what we should be doing, not pulling us beyond or listening to the head coach and saying, okay, these are the things that are outlined that you need to work on to become a better player, to become a better person, to build your character. I'm not listening to that because I'm full of fear. So now, instead of me just saying, all right, these are the things you need to work on, and I begin to work on them, then I begin to say, well, what ifs? That's when these what ifs start sliding in. What if this, and what if that, and what if, you know, this can go wrong, and what if I hurt myself, or what if I hurt somebody else? If I move, then I'm actually going to be changed, or what if they start making fun of me? All of these things start to run through somebody's head because ultimately, it could be even be because one has been looking at social media, seeing everybody's highlight reel, but not looking at, nah, man, this was a whole process that somebody had to do in order to get to where they needed to be. Are you willing to go through that process in order to build off of a solid foundation, or the door has been opened to now nestle that fear that has now existed within one's subconscious mind? That begins to now dictate whether one is going to move beyond the trappings of saying that, you know, I'm absorbed, or I'm fearful of my own shadow, or if I go over there and I'm fearful of rejection because somebody might say no, and if they say no, then what am I, or what on earth does that say about me? One has to go beyond that of all of this, you know, or just overanalyzing and overthinking, you know, thinking one's way out of it, because now it's just going back off of trying to keep one safe. There's a book, I think even it's called The Body Keeps the Score. I think so. And one just is trying to avoid pain at all costs, but ultimately seeking pleasure. So now what brings me pleasure is what now I'm going to confirm my logic, and even pragmatic thinking will only confirm and support our underlying fears. That even goes back to now when I even look at the Skinner box. And in the Skinner box were the dove, they put all of these different animals in there, and one has a fear of maybe not eating. So if I don't eat, then I have to perform certain tasks. And if I perform these certain tasks, then I will get my needs met. Now, who are you performing for in order to get your needs met? What has been nestled inside of your subconscious mind in order to get you to perform, to do certain tasks? And the coach that willfully you have selected will start to say, hold on, you got to move beyond some of these are some of your hangups, and this is why you are not being the player that you want to be. But sometimes we just start looking at it and say, I don't care. I don't care about the team. I'm just only caring about me. This is what I want. This is what I want to do. And he's like, hold on, man, what you want to do, or what you feel like what you want to do is that you, or is that being programmed by an unseen hand, or one only trying to look at or seek pleasure, right? So we will only be using our creativeness and fluidity only to confirm the plan of the subconscious mind. That has that plan been implanted, or is that plan something that you have worked through to get outside of the matrix, the chaos machine, the stolen focus, to somebody who is trying to get you? Attention goes, energy flows. Attention goes, energy flows. Where's your attention at? Because ultimately that's what you are letting in, whether that be through, again, even the music, where we feel like, we start saying things over and over again and we think, oh yeah, because it has a good beat. Just because it has a good beat, you are ultimately letting things in that are psychologically programming you. No matter how innocuous you think it is, oh nah, this is just a cool song, I just like the way this dude freestyle, I just like the way that whatever the case may be. And you can even go back to, when you look at the different things, even if you're going to a game and there's certain music that you do to put yourself in the mood, or going to the gym, right? And some people have certain different, they have a whole gym list of songs that they have created in order to now get themselves in a certain stance, or a certain posture, or a certain energy, or a certain vibe to pull themselves up to, in order to now finish the task that they need to do, which is finish the workout or go through the game, or whatever the case may be. There's certain times when people are in the bedroom and they want to put themselves in the mood. That was the Whispers, to get you in the mood. That's my range right there too. That's as far as it goes. Get you in the mood, man. And you put some certain songs on, and hey, you know what time it is, right? You know what time it is when you put this on. But again, these are things that you are letting in to your subconscious mind that starts to hold on to. So now it's all of a sudden you start saying, well, where is these feelings coming from? How did these things get here? Well, what have you been listening to? Who have you let in your ear to start telling you, I don't need no man. I don't need the RV. I don't need to submit to a teacher. I don't need to worry about the team. I have to worry about myself. Where did it come from? You think it came from you? Okay. So we're gonna go on and we're gonna talk about these emotions. Emotions make you fall. That's that H time. Again, a music. Certain things, you start to see words that start to trigger certain thoughts because of some music that one has listened to. And when you listen to that, then it starts to be like, oh, okay, then that's a response. But that response is that subconscious that ultimately, what does it say right here? If our subconscious minds are full of fear, then the logic and even pragmatic thinking will confirm or support our underlying fears. And then from that, even if we come from a left angle using it, we'll only be using our creative fluidity to confirm the plan of the subconscious. And the plan is, okay, we're just going to do what feels right. Our emotions are regulated by our thoughts. There's no way around it. When a thought is stimulated by our vital principle, it sends an electrical signal to our nervous system. Now, I must warn you that sometimes this is a bidirectional operation. Now, when I read this made me think of when some people say, oh, my gut. And then you even hear in old segments too, where Chief has said, your gut might be full of feces. That's fecal matter. That's like, how do you know your gut from the fecal matter that might be in there? And it started making me think of, when one says this is my gut, well, what ultimately not only have you been thinking or feeding or listening to, because it starts to create your action, what have you been consuming? One can go to the grocery store, right? And because one now is seeking pleasure or seeking something that makes them feel good in the moment, then one might reach for things that now are genetically modified, or high fructose corn syrup, or all of these things that might be in it. And then you pick up because I want a cupcake, or because I want some cake, or because I want this. I'm going to pick it up, but not reading the label to see what actually is inside of this. And you start picking up some of those cupcakes that's over there by that fried chicken and that bread when you walk in the grocery stores. And you see the label literally is wrapped around the whole doggone cupcake. right? Like, can't even pronounce half of the stuff that is in the on the label. So now it's like, what are you now ingesting? That starts to now take control or sit inside of your gut. What is it? Gut, God. What is it that is sitting inside? What have you ingested? What have you let in? I don't know. But it feels good, don't it? Feels so good to be loved so bad. Hey, 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 hey. Feels so good. And that love is associated with sugar. And sugar is that rewarding that like if somebody came home and you start the movie that we watched the other day where there was a little Lizzo in the making. and she was trying to get her to go to school. And one of the things that when she was trying to get her to go to school, she was like, if you go in here and you do whatever is required of you, then once you get home, I'm going to give you some chocolate and some ice cream, and I'm going to reward you. Again, this is when we start to seek some of these things of cupcakes and sugar. It's that rewarding, that pleasure seeking, or it constitutes to love. Like, oh, okay, I'm rewarding myself. I love myself. I'm going to reward myself. And which then starts to become problematic because then now we're letting these things in. And when you see our emotions are regulated by our thoughts, what are you thinking about? There's no way around it. When a thought is stimulated by a vital principle, it sends an electrical signal to our nervous system. Now, I must warn you, though, that sometimes this is a bidirectional operation. All right. So, yeah, it's a holistic process that one not only must be clear on what they are listening to, who they are listening to, but also must be clear on what one is consuming. What are you putting in your mouth? Because if you can't control what goes in your mouth, how can you control what comes out of your mouth? Okay? All right. So your emotions are the waste products of your thoughts. When you think something, an emotion is formed based off what you have meditated or reflected on. Which is one of the reasons why this song was selected for today. I am knowledge. Like, what are you saying to yourself? What are you meditating on? What are you thinking about? Are you stepping outside? Are you stepping around maybe your coach of saying that this is what has to happen? Are you stepping outside of that? There's things, that fear, that subconscious mind, girl, you know you can't listen to no man. Girl, you know he's just gonna try to take you for your buddy. Girl, like, are these things starting to replay and pop up in your head? Directing these certain feelings at one, which are different than emotions, which as we're going to see. But your emotions are the waste products of your thoughts. So where are these thoughts coming from that start to feed into your emotions? All right. And this is why it says mind cultivation is no different than agriculture. When we cultivate the land, we are preparing it for what we want it to produce. If we wanted to produce pineapples, we treat the land differently than if we want to produce watermelon. The soil that we use to grow watermelons must be moist. The soil that we use to grow pineapples must be dry. What we choose to produce from the land will determine how we treat the actual land. What are you trying to do? Now, this goes back to even the 14 keys when it says that somebody doesn't want to actually look at themselves or reflect on themselves and say, you know what, I am the cause of my causes. I am the one that's destroying this. But ultimately wants to look out and say, nah, it's the world that needs to change. And this world needs to be fixed. And this world needs to do all of this. Barrenness is what they're inviting into their own lives. What if I'm an athlete? And I want to now perform on certain days in order to do what I need to do. Would I start to now consume nothing but sugar? If you had a prized, this is almost in a sense, people take care of their animals better than they take care of themselves. And if you had a prized horse that you were going to race and you were going to bet and wanted to get money off of it, would you feed it anything? Would you feed it junk food? Would you feed it if you had a sometimes you give somebody this brand new car, and now all of a sudden all they want to put is that high octane, that 91 in their tank, right? So that thing running strong because they want to try to take care of it and preserve it because what I wanted to do and how I wanted to respond. How do you want to respond? How do you want to be? How do you see yourself? Maybe you don't see yourself in it, but do you think that you are in a position where you are responding to situations in a high performance way? Then that's how you're going to start to treat yourself. That's what you're going to start to listen to on a daily basis. Either you're going to start listening to things that are going to feed and elevate your mind and challenge you, and not just, oh yes, this was fun, because it's every day it's a fight that you're going to be in, of saying I have to move beyond this certain position, move beyond here, but then that your old self is going to be, nah man, I don't feel like it today, nah man, I don't want to do. Well, how are you cultivating that land? What do you want that land to do? What do you want that land to produce? What do you want to produce? Then ultimately is what you will start to consume on a day in and day out basis. How are you treating it? I just want to have a good time. And even in the book, it starts to give certain things. It says that, where people start to have their hangups, or where people start to have their issues. And it's like, I like to argue, or, you're going to have to die or something. There was a bunch of different ones in there of you're going to have to die or something, right? And you start to hear again what somebody has invested themselves into, what they want themselves to do or produce moving forward, as opposed to saying, you know what, I'm going to work on moving up instead, as opposed, I just want to have a good time. I just want to have a good time. See, that's a whole nother, if you don't know, now you know. Like, all of these things can start to just jump in your head when you say certain words and trigger certain things. But again, what have you let in? What have you let in? And then what are you trying to produce? What are you cultivating in your mind, and how you want it to respond and how you want it to perform? Either you want your body to perform and respond in a way that you feel is, and not in a way that you feel, but in a way that is going to be like a high performance athlete, or like a bum from the street who ain't never just try to walk out there and then start running their mouth and then knowing that they can't back anything that they're saying up. And that even makes me think of, matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it because it got, we're gonna go to Isaiah 32, 9-11. And when we go to Isaiah 9-11, I'm gonna pull this up 1 second. As soon as I find my Bible app, here we go. Isaiah 9-11. And this is now, it says, rise up, ye women that are at ease, hear my voice. Okay, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Who's in your ear? All right. And this, somebody is like, I'm seeing what you're doing. I'm seeing how you're moving. I'm seeing what's going on. Many days and years shall be ye troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, and the gathering shall not come. And tremble ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. It's like there's a coach or somebody who sees what's coming. This is where you start to even look at some of the things what Chief has broken down with the bug out bags and telling you Babylon is falling, and or you're relying on your job. Is your job always gonna be there? Like it's I'm relying on a system that ultimately is fragile. And so it's like, no, I'm seeing what's going on. Are you going to listen? Now, what have you let in? This is when some people get around. I don't care about the team. I don't care about what they get going on. I'm gonna do me. Girl, right? Girl. Or these other cats who come with this smooth talking. Which I think Softa Haba was speaking on that the other day when she said she was at Best Buy, and some dude, she turned around and was like, "Oh, yeah, well, hello. I can something of that nature." Right? And she was like, "Excuse me." He's like, "Well, hello there." All right. And somebody just being smooth is a smooth talking, smooth sounding person that is slowly but surely pulling you into this matrix. Somebody else is telling you, hold on, you better than that. You better than that. But you gonna feel the pain of that. You're gonna walk down the street, and one of the questions was, how do you determine what a righteous man? Yesterday, I think that's what it was, or how a respect. I think I'm winging that one. I think it was how do you return respect, and I don't have any comments on here to even fix that. So, oh well. But now this makes me would go back to the new way when it was just talking about the people who you surround yourself with, or who you choose to mate with, or who you choose to even, and we start to see, or who you choose to lay with. And sex just doesn't begin in the bed. Sex begins in the mind. Who have you let somebody sweet talking you in front of you, trying to manipulate or get you out of your drawers, right? Or letting you in, planting these ideas of, what's that dude, man? And you start to hear all of these different songs, man, that people have written, that it's like, yo, this is, what's that dude? Bryson Tiller. Don't play with it. Don't be dishonest. Still not understand. And it was simple. It like, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can do it. I'm back in. I'm better. I want you bad as ever. Yeah, I want you tonight. But then after this, like, what we doing? What we doing? And a lot of times, this is what happens when some people will start to lay down. They don't agree with what the man is doing, and this is these Jezebels. Don't agree with what the man is doing. Don't agree with the culture that he's bringing into the that he's living, or don't agree with anything that he's teaching. But then lay down, bust that thing wide open, and let that ski. And then there's a child, and next thing you know, we have a victim. Well, what did you let in? Them sweet nothings that start to be the ain't saying nothing, but ultimately making one feel good. No righteous teachings whatsoever. Oh, you know, and sometimes I think that even stems from childhood, when we start looking at you know, and you start telling the child no, and then they cross their arms, I'm not your friend. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's not the job that I'm here to do. My job is to protect you. And protect you means that I got to psychologically, emotionally, spiritually cover you. Which is why the job of a man is so important. And this is why I even pulled this one. Here we go. A man with nothing righteous to teach a woman is a danger to the society as a whole, because he corrupts the perspective of the female and supports her imaginings of self-deification. Now, this goes back to even what Paul was saying in here, where it's like, y'all better, I'm telling you, you better be careful. I'm telling you, you gotta watch out. You're trying to do your own thing, and I'm going to, and listening to these bums who don't have anything to offer, or listening to these bums who even say that they're on a team, who have the jersey on, but haven't put any work in. Listening to these bums who ultimately don't want to do any studying. You know what? I don't need any of that. I'm still going to keep doing the same thing that I've been doing and not try to run with the Bulls, but I'm going to claim I'm a Bull because I have the Bulls jersey on. Yeah, look. I got the jersey. Here it goes right here. And because one then doesn't do they don't do the courting process. They do the dating thing. And the dating thing starts to, well, let them play in the garden. What do you want to do with that garden? What are you trying to do with that? And then turn on that music. And then the music makes one feel so good, right? And guess what? You're going to die feeling good. You're going to die. But you start to see the dangers, though, of a man with nothing righteous to teach. Because he's not doing any studying. I don't have time to study. I just be so tired. And I'm just so tired when I get home from work. But you know, when she get home from work, that meal better be ready. But I ain't gonna read nothing. Nah, I'm good. You know, I'm gonna point you. You know what? Go ask Chief. He got it. He got it figured out. Yeah. Because ultimately, complacency and laziness has now situated this itself in the subconscious mind. And now all of a sudden, yeah, you know what? You don't understand, man. No, I understand. You're a bum. That's what I understand. A bum. All right. Goodness gracious. And you should, well, I think he was talking about that last night. The other night. What was it last night? Friday night. It's like now you're not even considered an adult in this space. But again, do you want to level up? Are you going to go beyond what has nestled itself in the subconscious? Who's in your ear? You keep telling yourself that you good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm Gucci. Or are you going to listen to the coach and move beyond? But now we're going to go to the blog. And in the blog, it said, we know that simply listening to videos and podcasts is not studying. How many times people like, oh yeah, I listened to it once and then I moved on, right? Yeah, you got to break that down. You got to keep going. Okay, let me not just regurgitate what I've heard on a podcast. Let me go find it for myself so I know it inside and out. So that therefore now if somebody asks me a question or if somebody challenges what I say, well, then now I can go in 3-4 different directions with it. And then, or I can always go back, which is why I'm like, you have to submit yourself to a process and why it's even more important that you submit yourself to a teacher, because then you could go back to the teacher and say, hold on, man, this is what happened. I worked this and I've done this many a times. It's like I was in Osiris Life. And then I was like, all right, me and Chief would build on something. I would go do it. And I'm like, ooh, man, this came up or this came up. And he's like, oh, yeah, you screwed that one up. You went this way and you should have. Okay. All right. And I go out there and run the play. All right, let's do it. Who are you listening to? Who is in your ear? What are you just taking in and then running with it? Oh, this is the next greatest guy because he talks to everybody as a scientist. Everybody is dropping science now, dropping knowledge, you know. We must exhibit discipline and perseverance in our studies, spending significant amounts of time engaged in intellectual activities such as reading various texts, attending and participating in lectures, conducting experiments, going to put the work in, problem solving, and engaging in critical thinking. And we must be able to manage our time effectively and prioritize activities. Now, some people either are full of that fear that ultimately I don't want to be found out that maybe I don't know. I don't want to be found out that maybe I'm not what I purported myself to be because, I've been beating my chest and not prioritizing my activities, not prioritizing my time, not prioritizing my studies, not prioritizing being able to critically think. I haven't done any of that. Yeah, not setting aside time for study and intellectual growth. I haven't done any of that. You don't understand, man. You don't understand, man. I'm just so busy, dog. I be so busy, dog. You know, like, come on, dog. I feel like just going a different direction. I don't care. All right. Setting aside time for study and intellectual growth. Yeah, I be out in them streets, man. You don't understand. I got rent to pay, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes when I get in, I know, Chief be dropping it, So I come in and I try to go over there and I help the other people out, though. And then I end up knocking them down at the same time. Whatever. Yeah. Get just enough information to start talking that sweet nothings in somebody's ear, making them feel good, only to Man, all right. We actively seek new information and opportunities to enhance our knowledge and understanding. All right. Now, all of this is in the blog. Go over there, Our New Life Global, and check it out. But ultimately, like, who is in your ear? Who have you even? Are you letting knowledge be your bodyguard? Are you letting it stand on righteous teaching, so that when somebody starts coming with this flim flam, that you can reject it, get that out of here. You know, you better come stronger than that. Or even in a courting phase, where you're asking you're telling all the questions that you can muster up before you start to let them play in your garden. Hold on, what's going on? Let me see what type of culture this man is living. Let me see how much studying this man has done. Let me see where we would go. Let me see what type of person this woman is. Let me see what type of fruit would I produce with this female or with this woman that ultimately is going to set one back. If you draft the wrong quarterback in on your football team, it can set your franchise back about a good 6 to 7 years. Which is why it's so important that one should do their due diligence to make sure that you have drafted the right player for your team. Well, who are you doing your due diligence to make sure that you have drafted the right player for your team? Have you really set in a courting and said, you know what? This is what I need for this. This is the position. This is the role. This is what it is. Let's see if you fit this role. Not, you know what? I'm gonna hit that. And don't get me wrong, I'm talking to myself too. I'm just gonna hit that. I gotta take it and come up with these all fly sayings that when somebody is addicted to a dirty culture that started, well, you know what I'm saying? Before I buy the car, I gotta take the car for a test drive. You know, you don't want to be stuck with a car that can't really grip the road. Like, come on, man. Come on. Do you know how serious it is that if you take the wrong player for your team, how you can set yourself back? And now these are certain things that you're just gonna have to deal with, and you're gonna have to either fight through it to overcome it, and you can overcome, or you start sinking back into this. I just want to avoid pain. I ain't listen. I'm just gonna do my own thing, and if I do my own thing, and everything will be all right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna see if I can see some of these comments in here, and if I can't, y'all know what it is. y'all be trying to talk about me like I close this thing out, right? But all right. And the sad part is I can't pull it up on the screen, so y'all ain't gonna be able to see it. But that's a good thing, because if I misread it, then y'all don't know. So whatever. Modern problems need modern solutions. All right, man. It's a master intellect right here. Chief hit that high note. Hey, came in a C sharp. I probably should have came in an A flat, but you know. Oh, here we go. Something worked. Let's go. All right, let's try this again. And I don't know, it must be because you came in here, Master Intellect. You on mute.
Peace. Yeah, I just jumped in to see if I can help out. Oh, so when I joined in, you can see all of the comments?
Yep.
All right, my work is done.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna share the link and mosey on out, just in case anyone else wants to join in. But as you were talking, I did have something I wanted to add, so I might as well add it and then head out. As you were talking about what you invite into your space and who was in your ear, a movie came to mind, and it's Little Shop of Horrors. You remember that one with the talking plant?
Little Shop of Horrors?
Horrors.
I don't think I've seen that movie.
Oh man, that's
That ain't me. I'm sure somebody else is witnessed or checked it out.
as musical as you were today. It was a stage play and a musical, and it was adapted to a movie. Feed Me Seymour, right? Exactly, Sister Yahweh. Well, just the long and short of the plot. This plant comes from outer space, right? No one knows where it comes from. It doesn't matter. It just works for the plot. That's how it is with 80s movies. The plot doesn't matter. They don't have to explain it scientifically. Plant comes up from outer space, right? And it shows up on the table of this merchant. You know, like how they have the farmers markets and everything. So he just shows up on the table. Now, this guy, Seymour, he's the main character, and he's a botanist. And he sees this strange plant, and he's like, "Let me just buy it because I don't know what it is. It looks fascinating, so I'm just gonna buy it." So he has this crush on this lady, right? And this lady Audrey, his co-worker, and she's always out gallivanting with other people. She has this boyfriend who beats her, and he basically when he goes down into the cellar and he's talking about what he wants and what he needs and what he desires, the plant says something like but he cuts his finger, and the plant sees the blood and it starts to like motion for like give me some of the blood. So he drips the blood on him because it's like this thing keeps, it doesn't want water, it doesn't want, like, what do you want? And when he actually gives it blood, it starts sucking the blood out of his finger. So he keeps feeding this plant, right? And eventually people start finding out about the plant, and they put it in the window because it brings people into the shop. The shop is feeling out of the plants there. The shop's doing great. But as he's feeding this plant his blood, it keeps growing bigger. But as it's growing bigger, it's asking for more blood. So eventually he has to start feeding it other people's blood, and which means he starts feeding it other people's body parts, right? And after a while, well, before he does that, the plant talks him into it, right? Because the plant starts talking and moving. It gets stronger. It starts to have its own sentience, and you start to realize this plant is just in his ear, telling him, "Listen, I can get you anything you want. Like, look at the success around here. You think this is a coincidence? The money, the press coverage, all this because of me. I can make all of your dreams come true. You just got to give me what I want. I just want some blood." And he's like, "Well, what am I supposed to do? Kill people?" And then some people deserve to die. He's like, "No, you can't say that." And he's like, "Come on, I'm sure you can find someone who you can 86 real quick, like real quiet, like." And then he looks across the street and he sees this girl Audrey getting the hands put on her by her boyfriend who's a dentist, and also a sadist. So he's like, "You know what?" And it's a song they're singing, but there's a line in the song where he starts chanting over and over, him and the plant, "The guy sure looks like plant food to me." And he starts convincing himself over and over. So he puts this into his subconscious that it's okay. Just maybe a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Now he has a huge monster that he doesn't know what to do with it. And this thing is I can't remember what happened at the end. It's either reproducing or it's just calling his homies from outer space. And there's two endings. One of them is like, well, what's going to happen next? And the other ending just straight up tells you, no, they take over and destroy everything because this guy wanted something. He wanted to hit it, and he was willing to sacrifice everything just for this one broad who winds up dying anyway. Just because he had this plant in his ear, ultimately telling him what the plant needed, not what he needed, which is like going back to making the movie sound so serious. Chief. Hey, it was fun. It is a great movie. I can't lie. It's a fun movie. Yeah, it's really played up for laughs. And like I said, it's the 80s, right? And it's a musical, so they could only make it so serious. It's just ruining it. No, it's not The Shining. And if you watch the movie, you will not be able to get those songs out of your head. But each of those songs just lets you know, like, this is what I want, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get it. But it's a fun movie, bring the whole family.
Absolutely. I see this. And when I see words, it triggers certain songs. So even when I see this Feed Me Seymour, I hear that ludicrous song. They call me Seymour Butts because I get more ASS than most. And that's when you just started saying that, it made me even start thinking about it. But then it starts telling you, though, when is the flesh, that satiation, are satisfied? And it is never satisfied. So it's like, feed me, keep coming. You're gonna keep giving it to you. And even some of the food that we begin to consume, that ultimately just starts to trigger, there's a pleasure sense that you don't never really feel satiated. I can eat this. There was a thing that I was watching. What's that? He was a producer, and he was like, the thing, he was eating a burger. And he was like, the thing about these burgers is I can eat like 5 of these. Well, if you eating 5 of these things, like, what are you ultimately consuming, and how is it? What type of thoughts? And he was overweight, massively obese. And it's like, are you gonna start to watch what you consume and put in your body? Are you gonna do any of this, or now do any of us now? We all have to come to your aid once now something goes wrong and you are on your deathbed and be like, oh, nah, what can we do to fix it? This is
gotta slap that burger out his eye. That's what you could have done.
Right. But we now are in a day, in a society, though, where it is wrong. You can tell somebody that it's wrong to smoke a cigarette. You can tell somebody that it's wrong to smoke crack. But then if you see them morbidly obese and consuming a piece of cake, or if you see them consuming a burger and you slap it out their hands, now you fat shaming. You doing that? That ain't what you're supposed to do. It's like, what? What are we doing here? But now it's like, though, but that would be in the sense, though, of having, this is why one has a coach or a pastor or a jegna or a trainer, because if you want to get from being just average to move yourself to the other side and saying that I want to be great, then somebody is going to start telling you, hold on, man. All right, let's devise a plan to get you to where you need to be. Or there's an area in your life where you're struggling. Here's an area where you are not doing the best that you should be doing. How can we now get you to where you are past these bad habits of there's this one thorn that it just keeps sticking in, or no, this is how you want is going to get past it. But then I don't need to listen. I'm going to do my own thing again. Or, I'm going to turn my music on. Or I have my animals because my animals love me better than humans do. And do all of this crazy, to start talking all of this crazy talk, because now nobody now is holding themselves accountable. So now if nobody's going to hold you accountable but you, where do you think those thoughts came from? Just feed me. Now it goes back to with the movie.
Feed me.
Right. Feed me. And it's a piece that ultimately, though, now we start to pull from all of these different, which is even in the book, Mind, Heart, and Words. Now we start to pull from all these different affirmations that they're hollow, but we keep telling ourselves, I'm going to walk to the mirror and I'm going to say I'm beautiful. Or I'm going to say I will not eat another Oreo. You start saying all of these things because it sounds good in the moment, but then wondering why this is not working. Right. That's because you haven't faced yourself and faced your reality and said, you know what, this is me. And until I can actually say, I'm going to come to grips with this, then I'm going to keep fighting this and I'm going to keep struggling. So, and it even made me think of, one of my other favorite movies is Major Pain too. Of people who just, but they'll, and it was one thing that Chief said a while ago. It's like, it's that Willie Lynch syndrome. Sometimes people, they can't get together until they get together just to try to get rid of a person. So they all come together to try to get rid of this one person. It's typically a man who now has said, this is what we're going to, we got to get rid of him. It was figured. As a matter of fact, some of it was in the movie last night where it's like she was up there teaching and somebody trying to do something for a community. And it was like, oh no, I got to pull my person out of here, or we got to try to figure out how to get rid of this person. You got a fire code violation. You don't have no credentials to be teaching this class. Like all of this stuff starts to come up. And it made me think of even in the Major Pain where they tried to get rid of him because there was discipline that he was bringing. It was like, oh man, we gotta run We got to do all this. We changing our old habits and saying that this is what we're going to do in order to move forward to become better people. But because now this is so much work, man, to shave the head and put us in lines and uniform, and we doing all of this. How do we get rid of all the trophies? If I can get this trophy, then I can get rid of it. So now I'm just going to try to go fill it and try to now even present some old habits again, or some things to try to go get just to get rid of somebody. But ultimately, it doesn't work. And it doesn't work because ultimately one has not put the work in to build themselves up or to even listen on a day in and day out basis to say, this is what I'm going to become. I am knowledge. I am wisdom. I am whatever I will myself to be. Will.
Right.
Like I have to will myself sometimes. I don't feel like studying. I don't feel like doing any of this, but I'm going to will myself. And sometimes you have to listen to somebody. All right, get up. Like, oh, I'm pushing. Sometimes my dad will sit there. I'm working out today. I'm like, gosh, I didn't feel like doing it, but okay, let's do it. You're going to have somebody who's going to be pulling you along and saying, nah, man, you're not going to fall. You're not going to stumble. Get up. Get up. Now,
yeah.
My own thing, but whatever it takes.
You know, that's so key too. Even the last point you just made, because who's in your ear, right? Like if you got to do something, like for anyone who grew up with a man in the home, with their father in the home, you know, when your father tells you to do something, like there's no playing around or beating around the bush. Like you probably might be able to get away with your mother. It's like, no, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this now, or you're gonna do this, and you're gonna do this now. So when you're alone and you have to do something, in the back of your mind, your father's there. Like, what you waiting for? Why why you dragging your feet? Just do it. You know, you have that voice in your head or in your mind or in your ear telling you, listen, we don't do that. If you're going to do something, do it. If you're not going to do it, don't do it. But don't stand here two-step and try to figure out if you're going to do it or not. Either do it or go decide to do something else. You know, but we don't stand around hesitating or twiddling our thumbs. You know, don't, my mother used to say it, but don't practice ASS. You know, do what you got to do.
Right.
And if you don't have that, discipline, it's easy for anyone to get into your ear. It was one segment that someone had asked Chief a question about, I think they were sending their daughter to boarding school or something like that. This is an old show. And Chief had told him that, because she was like, well, what should I do? Like what kind of ritual could I do to protect her? And Chief was like, give her culture. You know, give her righteous. That culture is going to be like a vaccination shot, you know, because you'll be in her ear. Her culture is going to be in her ear. Anytime something pops up, let's go do this. We're doing this over here. We don't do that. Well, we're going to go drink and try and mess around with the boys. We don't do that. You know, we're going to go over here and try to steal something. We don't do that. You know, that should always be something that's popping up in your ears. But if you didn't get that, anyone can come up with a 8-second video with the 8 seconds now. It used to be like 30 seconds to a minute commercials, but now they're like 8 seconds because you got to get in and get out. People don't have an attention span.
Right.
And they'll just pop in, let me get in your ears for as long as I need to, just to stimulate your subconscious, you know, that little subconscious desire to eat some chicken. Hey, here's some chicken, you know, and they just bounce. I drink it. Yeah, as long as I put the right name on the chicken, this is where you get the chicken from. You know, none of this is good for you, but just buy ours. You know, because
right.
the money's coming out. But I'm getting long winded, so I'll let I see Sister Margie and Chief Gia join. Peace, everyone.
Peace, everyone. Peace.
Greetings. And
Pastor, thank you for the message today.
Oh, right on, sister. Right on.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was just listening, you know, in here and just starting up, and some of the things that you were touching on, it kind of made me think about today, like just, well, not today, but this strong doing some study on the reproduction system. And you kind of brought up a point about, like, you know, self pleasure and, you know, engaging in intercourse in a way that it's, you know, it's about what am I getting out of it, or, even if you're choosing to lay down with someone and have produce a offspring, it's like not being founded in some sense of knowledge or understanding as to even the act of it, like what the sacred science of it. Not having that, it's like it makes you question, like, well, where did I get the whole idea of just, as you said earlier, busting it and doing all that stuff, like where did that come from, And I was looking up the definition, like very basic question, what is, reproduction? And just that base definition of like it's organisms ensuring the survival of a species. It's like having that base definition right there can change your perspective on how you look at the whole process of even mating. It's like you put yourself in a position to say, okay, I'm here to ensure that if your culture is, Hebrew culture, and you're leading or being followed by, or you're following the way of the Most High Yah, well, then you have a better understanding, like, okay, I'm here to play a position to ensure that the spirit of the Most High Yah stays on this planet. So what can I do as a team player to ensure that the best possible version of, myself and the person that I'm choosing to mate with is upholding whatever that image is that the Most High would like, to be for us to uphold. It's like it takes that me, I want this and I want that, I want to feel good, and it kind of takes that away from, takes that off the plate, and you're looking at it more so from that perspective of how can I ensure that. So whether that's I need to study more, I need to cleanse, I need to saturate myself with these teachings, or I need to change the way that I'm living from day to day. Is every day. It's like you begin to, look at it like, okay, if I'm foundating myself in truth, then yeah, like you said, all the other stuff that's coming in or trying to come in, it's like, yeah, we don't do that, we don't do that, you know. So yeah, that was something that was just coming up in my thoughts as I was listening to you preach.
Here you go. I was with you.
Good. I had the money. I had the offering ready and everything.
All right, sister. All right. But even when you was talking, it made me even think of when you mentioned playing your position, right? And how many people are on a team, but ultimately don't care for their position. So now, because I don't care for my position, or I want that position, I want his position. So now, or I don't really care about the team and I'm just looking after myself. So now I'm only seeking pleasure. And there's a lot of pleasure from somebody saying that I had a great game, I did this. So now all of a sudden people start to seek pleasure with now posting a bunch of pictures of themselves on their Instagram and then trying to put some captivating quote beneath it, but ultimately just bearing their chest or trying to show the genitals or whatever the case may be, because it's not about the team. I don't care what the team needs. It's what I need. It's what I want and how it makes me feel better about myself. Now seeking attention. So now how many likes can I get? How many subscribers can I get? How many? And then watch me start to now subject myself in a manner where that's not what I was taught in my community. That's not what we do, right? And it's even when you was talking, Master Miller, like it made me think of something that my grandfather and my mom always used to say. They was like, once a task is once begun, never leave it till it's done. Be the labor great or small. You do it right or not at all. And that always replays in my head when there's like some difficult task or there's a challenging task and everything in me is like, I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it. And then it's like, no, once a task is once begun, you never leave it till it's done. If I said that I was going to do this, if I said that this is what I was going to complete and I was going to do it, I now have to honor my word. I have to honor what I said that I was going to do. That's what we do. We don't do any of that. So that's what's been in my ear. So now it's like, what is in your ear? Who has been telling you? Or it's like, oh, well, I didn't have that when I grew up. Well, now you have it. What are you gonna barbecue or mildew? You want to keep going down the road of saying that this is, and people work hard for their situations, man. Work hard for their situations of saying that this is wrong and trying to point out of why they're a victim and nobody ever told me, or I never had anybody in my community that was a mother or a father figure to me. Nobody ever loved me. Instead of ever looking at the fact that maybe you are just unlovable. That could be it. I know I'm gaslighting now, right? Because now all of a sudden when people start to say anything about their behavior, anything about their shortcomings, now it's like, oh, I'm the problem. I'm a victim here. That's just like all of these. And then they start going, you hate all black women. That's what it is. You can't even let a black woman rest. It's like all of these stupid things that you just start navigating. Just like, come on, man, listen. No, are you the problem? You might be the problem. Now you can fix that and you can start to make necessary changes, or you can keep going down this road, but you're going to pay the price for that. There's a heavy price to pay.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Marge.
I'm sorry. I was going to say even what you just said, you're bringing correction to a sister. And I've had to learn this lesson also, like when that happens, like there should be a sense of gratitude that somebody has even, come to you and say, hey, you might need to look at this and this, like, within yourself, or to hold up that mirror and show you like maybe you're not as great as you think you are. And maybe you should be working on yourself, because the world's gonna tell you, no, you're great. And everybody wants you. Like that might not be the truth. You know what I mean? So even changing your perspective in that way is, come on, so right. That's all I have to say. All right, I'm out.
All right.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of throw in there. So how do you help a person who's whining and complaining in that way, making those sort of excuses or statements, like you mentioned, I'm tired when I get home, or I ain't had no daddy and no mama, all the things you were saying.
How do you help them?
Yep.
Sometimes the best help is to get away from them, or to let them see that what they had, they took advantage of, and that you no longer have access to what you had access to. And now you're going to see how difficult it is to get by or through without having access to that, whatever it is that you had.
So F them.
Sometimes that's the best. Life is going to be the best teacher for them. And sometimes people work hard for their situations. How many times do you keep trying to tell somebody, hey, read this, hey, study this, hey, look at this, hey, watch this video. And then eventually, okay, let's sit down and let's plan out your schedule. Let's start to see what your day looks like, so that to see, do you have time here? Oh, okay, I do have. Did you do it? Nah, I didn't do it because something came up. Okay, so now you wasting my time.
Well, I think it's always good to go to what our masters tell us, right? We've had masters who've already given us science on, how to approach a reprobate mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone maybe not familiar with that term, a reprobate mind is someone who just resists the truth. Paul spoke about that in the book of Timothy. I think it was 2 Timothy, 3rd chapter. Don't remember the verse. But he spoke about people who had corrupt minds and concerning the faith, and that they professed to know the Most High, but their works denied them. Denied him, rather, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate. So, like, a reprobate is someone who's so wicked that the Most High considers them to basically be godless, because they seek to silence truth with wickedness. Like sometimes you're talking to a person and you bring in the truth to them and they start getting emotional. They start getting loud. They get hostile. They start crying, or like, Aki Zach said, like, oh, you gaslighting me. And what they're doing, that's wickedness right there. You're literally trying to stomp out the truth with your wickedness. So I would say that the master has given us information on how to deal with that, because I mean, one of the first things I think is important is when we're offering something is, like people always say, well, God has no respect to person. That's not true. The Most High is always talking about my people, my nation, you know, whose prayers I listen to versus whose prayers I don't listen to, you know. So I think one of the important things is to remember in Matthew 7, where he says, don't preach to a dog and don't throw your pearls before swine, because they'll trample them under your feet and then they'll turn and tear you to pieces. Right. So it's like you have to also tune in to who you're talking to, right? Because swine is unclean, canines are unclean. So you're trying to preach purity to the unclean. Now, the swine is unclean and the dog is violent. And you over here trying to preach to them. That was the science there. So there are people who will violently reject what you're saying. And it may not be violence towards you. Like I have literally spoken. I remember a guy on 125th once was trying to talk to me about something. I'm like, nah, boom, 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 boom. I'm hitting him with the truth. Dude starts punching himself in the face. Right. And that's what's like. He's like, man, yeah, I ain't got time for this right now. I'm going through a lot. And he starts punching himself in the face. It's like, yeah, well, you might as well do it before I do it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you direct any of that over here, I'm gonna knock you out, right? So, but that's an example of that, man. That's a reprobate mind, man, where they're using wickedness and violence to suppress the truth like a wild dog. They become inflamed and enraged. And sometimes people go inwards with it. They start pouting, but when I say, like, the master has told us, Yahushua said, yo, when you enter into a house, stay there until you leave the town. And any spot that doesn't receive what it is that you're talking about, get up from there, shake the dust off your feet, for the souls of your testimony against them. Right? So what was being said there back then in those times. Now imagine, now this is Yahushua speaking about what's happening in Israel. So like I heard y'all saying earlier, like, we don't do this, we don't do that. But this is the we. You know what I'm saying? Like he's talking about, you talking to Israelites, you talking to your own people, and they're of reprobate mind. And back then the tradition was like, I think some of us even probably do it today, but the tradition was like, when you came in from a Gentile's place, you see, like, that's why he said, whenever you enter a house, stay there until you leave town, because don't be mingling out with the grime. Stay where it's clean, right? Because the tradition back then was that when you, like, say you came back to town and you were in another town, let's say if you was just like, oh, I'm gonna take a shortcut through Gomorrah, and you decide I'm gonna pass through because it's just quicker there. This time they got the bakeries open and get some bread, So what happened? When he said hot cross buns, he said about buns.
Bakery always open in Gomorrah.
Yeah, exactly. Them buns is hot, So the thing is, but so that would be considered like passing, well, not even through a Gentile, but let's just say a Gentile space. So when you came back into a righteous environment, you were supposed to take off your sandals and knock the dust off of them, because you're not supposed to bring that dust into a clean space. Right? And when he says, like, yo, knock the dust off when you're there, because that was also proof of testimony back then. So like, basically, like, let's say because he sent them out 2 by 2. So let's say if me and Menelek, we go to a spot, we're gonna go to Bethesda, and he's like, yo, go over there and teach them how to meditate and teach them this, that. And we go and we teach, like, let's say he says go to Bethesda and then go to Tyree. We go to Bethesda, we preach, we do our thing, and then it's like, all right, let's go to Tyree. And I'm like, hey man, my dogs is barking. Let's just head back. They not gonna, my sandals is barking. I broke a strap. They not gonna know if we was there or not. Like, let's just say we went, and like file a fake report. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I went there, spoke to 3 people, healed the physician, and then came back, turned back around, man. We nothing, super eventful. You know what I mean? What's for dinner? Right? So the thing is, back in those times, what they would do is they would like, if we went to Tyree, we would have to knock the dust from our sandals, because the dust of the prophets was considered to be proof that the prophets were there. Everywhere you left your dust, that's how they would say, no, he was here. Look, this is the dust from his sandal when he came in, right? So when he says that in that scripture, like, yo, shake the dust off the soles of your feet for a testimony against them, saying you can't say you didn't know, because the dust of my disciples was right here. Don't be talking about, well, I wasn't there. You knew they came through here. We got proof that they came through here, and you still acting stupid. So I think it's important, because sometimes we take it very personal. I know in the beginning I did, like when I first had like started a spiritual house, and where people would leave, and I'm not a chaser, so I'm not really, like, if you leave, you leave. But in the beginning, yeah, your flesh starts speaking, and your flesh is just kind of like, you may not realize that, yo, you are being known by the fruit that you bear, which means that you're a tree. And trees have to be pruned in order for them to grow. But sometimes you don't, when you prune a tree, it comes back stronger and healthier. But sometimes you don't, in the midst of it, your flesh is wearing up, and it's, it's like, yo, all I said was this. Why they so upset? You know what I mean? Like, it's true. You know what I mean? And like, yo, you soft, you're wimp. You want to start getting into other type of shit. Well, if you leaving anyway, I ain't really got to respect you now. Let me tell you how I really feel about you. You know what I mean? And that macaroni and cheese your wife cooked, but it made me sick. Like, now you really want to say everything. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, I've sat in those situations and sat home like, man, I should have. This is what I said this little bit, and I should have really said what I was thinking. But that's all the flesh rearing up and not realizing, like, yo, these departures a lot of times are necessary. But I think the difference there, like, again, is considering that reprobate mind, where it's like you have someone in your midst, and these are people who are pretending to hear. But what the Most High is saying is like, yo, when he's saying knock the dust off from your feet and break out, he's saying these are people who we're denouncing. Like, we're writing them off at this point. You see, and writing them off, we're saying we don't want their dust from their place to come back and pollute our homeland. So we basically we want to cut them off right here. So that was another instruction for separation. Which coincides with what you said, Aki's at. But I just think it's important when you think about these type of situations, or those type of scenarios which you're speaking about. It's important to understand that as you're getting turned off and disgusted, once you get your flesh out the way, understand that the Most High despises that sort of behavior, in other people as well, because truth and doctrine and the law, statutes, and commandments were always meant to be highly esteemed. Always. So when they're just kind of brushed aside, or they're, you casting pearls to swine or whatever, and people are disrespecting it, then you can't you can't ignore that per se. You know, you got to be patient. Of course, there's a patience that comes in with all of these things. But at the same time, understand that like it's okay to denounce and cut these people off, even if they claim to be your people.
And you can't say they weren't there with the dust that was on their
Just
shoes.
hey man, I track mud all through your house, Jack.
Like,
I know my Timberland print. You know what I'm saying?
forensic evidence now.
You see what I'm saying?
You see these ridges? You see them ridges?
Right.
Got no ridges.
And I'm flat foot, so my whole print is down. Boom.
The whole thing. Yeah. That made me think of because I had a situation like that on Yom Shishi. Because there was there's a guy at the place where I work where he's just Jezebel. Like you can tell there's no father in the home. You can't talk to him for more than, let's say, 5 minutes without a word you say triggering him. And he doesn't even know what you meant. It's just the word takes him off on a tangent. Now he's just standing there talking. You could walk off, leave him talking to himself and come back. And he didn't even realize you left, because he's in his own head. I was like, yo, the thing, I was just telling you, the thing you're telling me you're going to do, like, it would be unrighteous of me to leave without telling you that that's a bad move. So I'm going to tell you this, you got two choices. And I'm going to tell you these two choices. And then after that, you can do what you want to do. But I'm going to tell you. So you can't say you didn't know. So I said, you can do this and keep your integrity, because you said you want to leave, but you want to leave fighting the company you're trying to quit. If you don't want them in your life anymore, just quit. But if you stay in trying to fight them, you're going to have them in your life way longer than you need them there. So I say, just if you really want to quit, if it's messing with you that much, just quit. He just went on the stand and it's like, yeah, I told you I was going to say that thing and leave. So I just left. That's on him now. I don't know what he decided. I don't know. I'll find out later.
It made me think, even though, like, when I hear when relationships dissolve, and the first thing that I start hearing, one of the parties that is upset wants to go on a smear campaign to make that this person ain't sugar honey iced tea, and
right.
It's even in Courting versus Dating podcast, where it was just start speaking about, I was making this person nuts. It reminded me of Lil Terrio, or what's that thing where it's like, man, this dude, he can't even make a mom effing.
ham and cheese. Yeah. Why you going to heat up the sandwich? He don't know how to work the stove. He can't touch the stove.
Why ain't you just eat it cold? Like, come on, man. Like,
why you can't just eat it cold?
It's going back and forth.
Too old, man.
You don't smoke, do you? Like, you're just trying to go make somebody feel terrible. Like, I'm gonna go out with a bang. I can't just walk away from this relationship. Like, you know what? This just ain't it. Let me just move. I gotta go out and make this person feel like garbage, and try to make everybody around them everybody around them think the same thing that I think. This is just a nasty person, and y'all shouldn't mess with this person. So y'all are just as nasty as them if you keep this person in your life, right?
That's actually, I'm sorry, he actually said that to me. He was like, you know what? I'm starting to think you on her side. It's like, whoa. I got nothing to do with that, bro.
Right.
So it's like, come on, man. But even with what you were saying, Chief, like, I should have said this. Like, it reminded me of when Mike Tyson was accused of rape. He was like, you know what? I wish I really did it. I wish I really did it. And a mama.
Right.
But yeah, that's the flesh part rearing up. Like, you know what? I really wish I did. Like, I wish I got my money's worth. If I'm gonna be the bad guy, I wish I actually did something to be the bad guy.
Right.
But that's the flesh talking.
But you know what, too? It's also like it gives evidence for like the sanctity of a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could just speak for myself. I've never been that guy, and I've had people do me dirty, during relationship. Usually that's why the relationship ends. But my thing is like, it's still a sacred thing. Number one, it's no one's business. Number two, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is that we discussed or whatever it is that happened, because sometimes within like I've seen that happen, like these tell-all books and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like people will, after the breakup, now you want to talk about the person's childhood, how their parents were, or the insecurities they had, the fears they had. And I think that's one of the most foul things to do, because no matter how things went, there was a moment where there was trust, or you wouldn't even know these things to
Right.
even be talking crap about them. You know what I mean? But really what that is, that's a Jezebel energy, because Jezebel wants to destroy. So after we break up, I gotta now destroy you. I'm on a seek and destroy mission. I gotta anything that you're connected with, I gotta isolate you. So there's this what we call monkey branching that happens at the end of relationship sometimes, where sometimes one partner will then they'll climb through the network of their ex-partner. They might even get on the phone, start calling relatives. Yeah, we broke up. Well, let me tell you something about your son that you don't know. And then they'll go from person to person to person to person, trying to destroy your security, trying to destroy your network. And sometimes it's because they don't have it themselves. It's always important to look at that too. Like I've had situations where that's happened to me. And I'm like, yeah, the only people you can call are the people who know me, because you ain't got no friends, which was a sign of something. The only friends you have, quote unquote, are the ones that I went and got for you inside of my network. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, go take us somewhere, man. Could your wife do this for? So that's a sign of things. But ultimately it's a Jezebel energy where someone wants to destroy. And whether it's coming from the male partner or whether it's coming from the female partner, I say from the male it's even worse. We understand that females can sometimes not think long term and just kind of be in the rapture of their immediate emotions. Not to say that it's acceptable, but we understand the nature of the being. But for a male to do that, like you're a girl. You're a straight girl. Little girl. You're not even a woman, bro. You're a straight little girl.
Bitch.
So yeah,
Yes.
The Sapphists don't like that.
Pastor
The Sapphists don't like
Kabasi,
that.
that's Pastor Kabasi right there.
Yeah,
So
that's
he different.
Oh, they done strike out.
like that tall, slim dude with the ponytail.
Right. Yeah, the Bloods and Crips of America, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Crips. Yeah, dancing, Crip walking it. Right. So that's the thing. It's like, as a man or as a male, because men don't do that. Men do not do that. That's some male toxic feminine sort of behavior inside of a person, because one of the things, especially in our culture, is we if we're mating, we mate each other. So if I'm mating another Anubian. So if we split for whatever reason, I don't want to destroy my sister, because she has to continue on just like I have to continue. She's still my sister because we're pledged to the same Elohim. Right? So I want to make it just as easy for her to move on, just like she better make it just as easy for me to move on. I'm not trying to tarnish or smear anyone's name, because the truth is some blends don't blend well. That's just all of it. She might blend with another person and it might be total harmony. And the same thing with me. It may be total harm. Maybe we were just a bad blend. You know. But yeah, I'd say for a male doing something like that, man, it's even worse, because you're supposed to go inward and figure out how you screwed it up. That's what you're supposed to do, because it's always your fault. It's always your fault, man. Whether it's your fault because you picked the wrong one, because you're the one supposed to have the long-term vision, not her. We already know. All you got to do is tell her about 5 or 7 good lines. She ready to do anything. Women are suckers. They are the world's suckers, man. They fall for any old dumb thing. We already know that about them. Their discernment is horrible. You know, you're supposed to be the one that knows better. That's why you're supposed to be the protector of the family. So if you didn't know better, if you didn't peep, so let's say if she is a horrible person, but you didn't peep it, that's a strike against you that you need to work on now. Let's say if you did peep it and you went forward anyway, then you weak. You got a tender penis. You know, you weak in the groin, like SWV. You know, so there's no way that you can kind of, I think that's how the lyrics went, you know, but there's no way you can get around that. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of times I know people like, man, you go hard on the guys because we are the thought. Everything, knowledge is the basis of everything. The black man is knowledge. Everything builds on top of us. So if your knowledge from the beginning is warped or twisted or agenda laced, then everything that comes from that root is going to be poisonous. You know, so it's always the dude's fault, man. If I'm in a situation and the woman leaves me and I don't know why she left me, so I'm over here throwing out all kind of darts to see which one sticks, something's wrong. Anytime a woman leaves me, I know exactly why she left. That means I'm good. I did my job. If I don't know why she left, I wasn't doing my job. You know, so yeah, that's slandering and that's smearing, man. That's just gross, man. I don't like it. You know, gossiping is not what we doing. Like I broke down recently anyway, man. Gossip is you flowing that Zeus swag. You know, you in that Zeus swag, man. Zeus was banging out Ganymede. You know what I'm saying? He was banging out all these boy lovers, and you know, like, yeah, man, that's not my culture. You know, my culture is I'm gonna stand firm, man. Men got to learn how to be saucy when something happens. You know, you got to be so like, oh, I'm leaving you. All right, cool, man. I was getting ready to get rid of you. That works out perfect. Bye. You know what I'm saying? Here, let me help you pack, baby. You know what I mean?
You know, I was thinking of doing something with you, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
keep
do
the
something
luggage.
with you.
You got to be saucy, man. You sitting there crying in the corner and wanting somebody to rub on your back, man. Nah, I can't get with that, man. You know, so yeah, I think that, and I guess for me, I guess I'm maybe a little bit more invested in it because as a community leader, these are the things that really damage the community. You know, and a lot of times it's similar to what y'all were talking about earlier. When these things happen, it's like, I told you how to prevent this. You did this. So don't say nothing now, man. You did this. You know, so and this happened so many times, man. And I'm not just talking about like man and wife or whatever. I'm talking about even people with their children. That's what's happened the most often. You know, I warned someone, hey, you better keep an eye on this, or this is gonna happen. And you did whatever you felt like doing, and then now you crying and saying, you know, and they took my money, and you know, my son did this, and you know, threw me up against the wall and went through my purse, took out my pistol.
Went through my purse.
Right.
I'm like, man, I told you, man. I don't want to hear this. You know.
Mm-hmm. And then as soon as you say I told you, then it's you being insensitive. Then you see somebody, I'm hurting right now. Now is not the right time. Like, but
I can see you hurting, and I know why you're hurting too.
Right.
We both know why you're hurting.
Well, it's also who you choosing, what, you know, who you're choosing to get what from, I think, which is very important. I would say that, like, if someone says, well, you're being insensitive, well, why are you in front of me right now? What is it that you're looking for from me? Right? You're looking for a hug? You're looking for breast milk? I can't give you that. Like, I can't give you maternal nurturing. Right? And sometimes we have to learn when we are in a sensitive space, You know, like if I cut my hand, man, I wrap it up. It's sensitive. You know, I don't want certain things to get in it and make it worse. And then when it's a little more healed, it might still be a scar there, then I'll unwrap it, let it get some fresh air, because the fresh air help to heal it, right? So sometimes you got to look at that too, man. Are you ready to be out and exposed? You know, maybe you're too tender right now and you need to give yourself a little bit of time, as opposed to trying to put yourself out there so you don't actually have to listen to the Most High telling you, I told you. You know, because the Most High always be doing that, because it's like you be chilling, you be driving, you crying, and then you see a scripture on a billboard. Repent. Be like, damn. So I don't even know why I went down this. Man, let me go back through. Let me do a circle around Gomorrah.
Get some bucks.
Yeah, exactly. You get some buns.
Get some hot cross buns.
Sometimes that's what you turn to. But you know, it's like there's a patience that people ignore too, that because we're made in the Most High's image. So like when you look at Ezekiel 33:11, he said, like, yo, I take no pleasure in destroying the wicked. But he says, so why then, Israel, do you choose to die? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, you did this. Like, I've been patient. You know what I'm saying? You read Isaiah 65 where he says, I've spread out my hands all day to a rebellious people. You see, now think about the it says what is it, 1,000,000 years, like a blink of an eye to the Most High. So a day is not like 24 hours. He said, man, I stretched my hand out to you all day and you've been rebellious, and I take no pleasure in having to destroy you. So why would you choose that?
Like I'm gonna put Lassie down.
Right. Well, I mean, if she gotta go. She gotta go. She bit Timmy. You know,
right.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, it's like sometimes we have to be accountable. I'd say all times we have to be accountable for like it's like what Zach said earlier. Like, yo, we really work for our situations. You know, because the whole time there's been that outstretched hand by the Most High trying to guide us and saying, look, I don't want to do this to you, please. But there are laws of the universe that even I can't get around. You know. So
that makes me think of like when you have that father and they're disciplining you, and you know sometimes you cut up and they have to spank you, and they might say, you know, this hurts me more than it hurts you, because it's like, I don't want to do this to you, but you ain't, you know, you're not listening, you're not following directions.
Yeah,
I still
got one of the good ones. Our pops is definitely taking out stress. Him and my mother, you know, because they be in the bedroom there, and like, you know, it was so bad because when I was a youth, the way me and my siblings, our room was, it butted up against, and one of the places we lived butted up against their bedroom, so their closet was like right where our bed was, so we would literally hear when he would go and get the belts. And you'd hear the click, click, clink, clink.
Yeah, that's traumatizing. That's like,
yeah, you start crying right then and there, like, you know, you did this. Me and my brother, then we'd be turning on each other. Right. I didn't even do it. Tell him you did it. You know you did it. You know, and you hear that clink, 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 clink. It's like, oh God, he getting that old big one with the big buckle, you know, with his name on it. His whole name is on the buckle. But yeah, you're right. It is like, it's that paternal energy because we're made in that image. And I know the same thing for me when I'm dealing with it within the community. It's like, yeah, I may not be pulling out a belt and beating people, you know, but it is definitely like, I don't even want to talk about this. You know, like, why are you making me have to talk about this? Because for me, it's like, I want to just have fun. Let's just have fun. Let's crack jokes and, you know, and now because you make me have to talk about this, because you're being so rebellious or being so defiant, you know, or pretending to be so oblivious to the rules, then now it destroys the intimacy between us. So now when I come around, you're going to act different now because I had to check you. So it's an uncomfortableness. And some people, like I said, some people use that to bully you too. They know you're uncomfortable. So they'll bully you in that sense because they don't want to put you in that. They know you don't want to be in that situation. So you're tiptoeing, hoping something is going to change. And then when you finally do have to say something, it's like, well, why'd you have to say it like that? Or why'd you say this to me? Why'd you say that to me? And it's like, why'd you do this? Why'd you have to get me to the point where now I gotta take maybe, I don't know, whatever time and say, man, well, how do I say this to you? Because it's all uncomfortable. Not only are you doing something that I don't like, might even be upsetting me, and you just free doing whatever you feel like doing. You're upsetting me, and you could even be disrespectful. But now on top of that, I have to deal with the discomfort of bringing this to your attention. And I have to think about what the reaction is going to be afterwards, because you might decide, I'm going to give you the silent treatment. I'm going to say I'm going to gaslight you, whatever it is. I got to deal with that too. So I got to deal with these three things when you could have just did what you were supposed to do and respect the people who are around you. That's all you had to do. It's like when you own a house and somebody keeps like throwing loud parties. Your neighbors are throwing loud parties. No one just wants to jump over there like, hey, say, turn it down. You know what I mean? No one enjoys doing that because okay, now I'm going to ruin the relationship between me and my neighbor. They're not going to like
reality,
me. But they already ruined it. Right, exactly. They already showed they don't give a crap about me. Right. And I'm still sitting here trying to be decent. And they may even know, I've seen this before, like they ain't going to say nothing. I've been to people's places before and they've told, and I've asked like, your neighbors don't mind it. Man, they ain't gonna, they know you better not say nothing.
Yeah, right. They already know what it is.
Right. So then when someone calls the cops, oh man. Well, yeah, because look at the position you put people in. So yeah, it's multi-layered.
Yeah. And now you're the punk.
Right.
And then what, like you said, it ruins a relationship when it doesn't have to. And it's almost in a sense where we talking about, I was in my shadowing this RODBT class. And one of the things that was speaking about was when somebody tells you no. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, if they tell me no, then if they ever ask me for anything, then I'm not going to do it. Or if they ever come, or why can't you do it? Or why is it a no? And it's like, that ain't no. You don't have to come up with all these scenarios of how I'm going to get somebody back if they do this to me. They have the right to tell you no. And
tell you no.
Yeah, they, just like you said, they have a right to come over here, man. I'm trying to get some sleep. You got this music going on. And it doesn't have to be, oh, well, now it's on site. Every time I see him, it's on site now because, you ruined my good time. You ruined but you putting somebody in a position to make them come over and speak. You don't care about anything or anyone but your own pleasure, your own self. But now it's like somebody is not, now when you start calling it for what it is, then it's like, oh, no, I'm not doing that. And then all of these other fly little sayings to get out of it. That's what you said. Now I'm like, there's only so much that you can try to give somebody until you dust that the off your sandal and just be like, all right, I'm out of here, man. I can't. Because now my own psychological mindset is being at risk now for me trying to figure out how to tiptoe around your sensitive ego. Or you wanting to always come back and say something, and I don't know what type of, and now I'm trying to figure out how to have a simple conversation with you. Like you said, bully. It's not worth it at this point. It's just not worth
it. And I mean, I can't speak for sisters. I don't know in that space, but I've spoken to you brothers about it many times. Many times. This is a rough movement. And it needs to be that way. I don't like all that soft stuff around me, man. I don't, because as men, we have to learn how to be, we got to be rough. You know, and it doesn't mean that we don't have tenderness to us or whatnot. You know, like I ain't telling Master Menelec paint everything holding the paintbrush in a fist. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like he could use some finesse. It's fine. You could use finesse. But at the same time, like we have to be able to push each other around and understand what that means, man. You know, because just like when I know from the fighting game, you know, there's certain things we used to do before fights to hype each other up. You know, slapping each other on the back, stuff like getting those endorphins going, and the system. Sometimes you know, I used to like to punch myself in my own chest, like I'm hitting my chest like a gorilla, stuff like that, right? And reminded me, man, get on edge, because you don't want to get on that mat or in that ring and not realize in the second round that you in a fight. You know, and I've seen that happen before. You know, somebody get rocked really hard, bow, and it's like, oh, okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay. Now all
we ain't in Kansas no more.
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Now you listening to your coach in the corner. You didn't hear him the whole time. Now it's like he like move. You know, put your hands up. You know, like, oh, I didn't hear you until I got punched.
Yeah,
you know,
your head started ringing.
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Your girl's crying. You know, covering the children's eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, sweat. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even remember how I got here today. You know what I'm saying? Like today was the fight. What's the date? What's today's date? You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing.
You gotta answer uncomfortable question. Daddy, why'd you let the man punch you?
Right, exactly. Daddy, you praying to y'all, you stop bleeding. Please, y'all, let this blood stop. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the thing is, man, you gotta like as men, it's like I don't know, you know, as far as this movement, now everybody's movement is different, and I respect that. But as far as this space that I'm charged to be the shepherd over, they ain't know how you said something when it come to men. They ain't none of that. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? You say what needs to be, because we're supposed to be men of industry. And if you're a man of industry, you are doing I don't have time to be taking an extra 15 minutes to, hey man, you want to go get some ice cream? Let's go for a walk. You like sprinkles or you like M&Ms on yours? Which one you like? Like the gummy bears on yours? And then yeah, so you know, I just wanted to you know, first of all, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? Nobody has time for that. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, hey man, you getting fat. Keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? I seen my man the other day, my man K, we were talking. K back in the days got shot. He's in a wheelchair. He's been paralyzed for years now. He got shot at when we were younger. And he's always called me Pretty Boy. That was his nickname for me. You know, Pretty Boy. And K was one of the people who, like, when I started boxing, gave me my courage that I could box. You know, he was a boxer and he was like vicious back in the days. And he seen me. He was like, "Yo, Pretty Boy, what's up?" We talking. He's like, "Yo, not for nothing." And I knew it was about to be something ill that was about to come out of his mouth. I knew it. Yo, not for nothing, Pretty Boy. But yo, I ain't never seen you look like that. Just said it just like that. I knew what he was talking about. And I just, you know, I felt like the sweat go down my back. Because it's like, man, F you. You know, that's what I wanted to say. But even in the wheelchair, this is like big bro. He was like, yo, I ain't never seen you look like that, Pretty Boy. You know, and it was a gym we used to go back in it. It was like a super grimy, like, this is strictly for bodybuilders, man. It's always hot in there. The windows didn't work. You know, it was called Bruticus. He was like, yo, you need to find a new Bruticus. You know what I'm saying? He was like, I don't know if you're doing Planet Fitness or something, but he was like, you need a Bruticus. I was like, yo, I got a membership. He was like, well, use it. Yeah, this is real talk. This is in the middle of the street. People was walking by and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, this real talk. He was like, yo, you got to use it, man. I was like, yeah, you right, God, you right. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing, man. That's how men got to deal with each other, because at the end of the day, he wants me to be tough. I want him to be tough. You know, I want him to be strong. He wants me to be strong. You know, and we want to move. My strength and my toughness is a part of his survival, and vice versa. You see, yeah, Marjorie Marie over there
doing the dishes.
Sound like she bootlegging liquor. She's running a speakeasy. She over there juggling wine bottles. I'm practicing for the Juneteenth. It's a Juneteenth celebration.
Oh man, I was trying to ignore it.
Yeah, I know. I heard it too, man.
I'm sorry, I thought it
The
was
Juneteenth juggler.
I thought
Earlier, I thought she was getting a belt ready for someone.
Oh yeah, it
Uh-oh.
could be that. Them clinks. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, that's I'm just saying that, again, women do what they do, but as for men, I don't know, man. You got to be like a wolf pack. You know, they be biting and growling at each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but they ain't trying to kill each other. Now, if a rabbit go by, yeah, you getting eaten. That is what it is. Even by the weakest wolf. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
If you was getting chased by a wolf pack, you and your man there, you be like, yo, I'm gonna take the one back. Nah, man, they all gonna bite us. We got a problem. Even Grandma Wolf. You used to be like, nah, Grandma Wolf look tough.
She coughing while she chasing you.
Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's how men need to sharpen each other in that way and strengthen each other in that way. And any kind of weakness needs to be denounced and cut off. Just like you would prune a tree. You got to prune yourself in that way as well, man. You know, and if somebody is leaning on your branch and it's about to give, man, don't be like, get up, man, that's my weak branch. No, let them break it off. So you can come back stronger.
You know, and even thinking of that, it makes me think of the things that we have let in that ultimately doesn't allow one, or at least they think that they're the decisions that they've made to keep people off you. So it's like in a world where now it's mean to tell somebody the truth, and it's not mean to lie to them, because if you lie to them, then that means that, you know, you judging the space and reading the room, and ultimately you care about their feelings. So you're not going to say, yeah, you're fat. And then, or it's the things that somebody has said, like in church, where they have that has nestled their way, and judge not, who should be judged first. So let's not judge. It's not okay to judge each other. You know, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house, right? So if your sins, you're not clean, so don't start judging. So who am I to point out what somebody else is going through? All of these things start to replay in somebody's head, in a sense of now, do I just come out and just be like, hey, you need to go to a new Bruticus? Like, like that ain't working.
Right.
Do I just say that? Or is my life in order where I can't say that? Or am I supposed to judge this person? Because now these are things that one has let in, and now that subconscious begins to make the decisions for him, because that's now nestled its way down there. So now it's like, can one finally attack that and say, you know what, there is some pruning that needs to go on in my life. There is some weak areas in my life that I have to get rid of this, because I don't like the person that I'm becoming or who I am, because of these things, these stumbling blocks that I have in my life. Can I now listen to somebody who is going to speak directly to that, and not be like, oh yeah, let's get some ice cream and some stuff. So how you doing it? And that's even another thing that we spoke about too. It's just like being more direct. And I'm talking about we in this class that I was shadowing. So instead of saying, you know, calling somebody and saying, what you doing tomorrow? Like a setup question, as opposed to just saying, I need help with something.
Can you take me to the doctor tomorrow?
Right.
Yeah, now I can fill up your schedule with all the stuff that I want to do, because you ain't doing nothing tomorrow.
Or you
Just
leaving
chilling.
somewhere. Yo, which way you going? Why? What does it have to do with you?
Right.
You know, but you know, like the scriptures say, you know, Ion 17:17 or John 17:17, sanctify them with the truth. Your word is truth. Right. So it's speaking about that ability to clean someone, to make them sacred through the truth. So your word must be truth. And even when you look at the numbers of it, you know, just, you don't have to, but you know, 1717 all being born to God, knowledge God, all being born to God, right? So what is God? One who has the power of refinement. The power of refinement. What is power? Truth. So the truth of refinement, you know, so having that ability, that's what proves what you are. You can't call yourself a man. You can't call yourself a king. You can't call yourself a God if you don't have the power to refine through truth.
Mm.
And that power comes through the knowledge that you acquire, the right and exact, or what we call precise knowledge, right? So to try to block that, if you speak in knowledge, I mean, 8:32, and you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free, right? So you even look at John is all about the word and the truth. In the beginning was the word was God, right? So it's like these words got to come out your mouth. And these words that come out your mouth, they have to be true. And through the truth is how you clean and sanctify people. Proverbs 12:22, but lying lips are an abomination, but those who act faithful are the delight of the Most High.
Mm.
You see? So, you know, truth is how you show and prove who you are. You know, so when Kay said that to me, it's like, yo, that's still big bro. I'm looking down on him. He's in the chair. But that's still big bro.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still making sure his little brother is right. He like, yo, I ain't never seen you look like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kay know me, shoot, man, since I was about 15, 16 years old. First time I got I think I told the story about when I knocked the dude out and ran out the ring. I don't know if I ever told y'all this. I don't tell it much. It's a little cut. Yeah. Kay, so it was long story, quick short. Crow, damn, I shouldn't have said that name. Damn. Yeah, but I still got a healthy fear of this dude. So there was this dude. It just slipped out. You know, let's call him C. So he had just come home from jail. Long story short, these are like, they're all older than me. So at the time, he's like in his 20s. I'm a teen. So this is like a grown man to me. But he was known for his hands. Like he was before the word thug, you know, people always say, yo, I'm a thug. I used to call him a thug. Like he was the definition of like, this dude, all he cares about is violence. That's it. He don't care about nothing else but beating people up. And he was good at it. He used to do this thing. He was known for it. He'd beat you up and throw you in a dumpster. Like he's a legend for that. Like, don't ever get into a fight with him. He's gonna drag you, he's gonna knock you out and drag you down to the dumpster and close it. That's all he did. So he came home from, he was always in jail. I think he's locked up now, actually. Came home from jail, doing his regular thing, another tooth missing, you know, and we down at the gym. I'm over there lifting, and Kay was like, yo, pretty boy, come and get in the ring. And I'm like, nah, I'm good right here. And C was in the ring. He's leaning on the ropes. He's like, yeah, I spell it. He's like, yeah, that FAGGOT. He ain't trying to get in there. And I'm just like, whatever you call me, whatever you want. I'm not. This is not happening. So Kay was like, he comes over, gasses it up. He was like, yo, pretty boy, I know you could do it, man. I know you got it in you, man. He was like, I know you can get it in me. He's like, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, I can't, like, now it's just too many people looking. So in my mind, I'm just saying in my mind, all right, after you get knocked out, right? Because I'm getting knocked out, right? And that was one of the things that C always had against me, because he used to say I had never been knocked out. So he was like, yo, you think you tough, but you never been, you never really be a real fighter till you get knocked out. So I'm like, oh, they scheming on me to knock me out. Like, this is the day I get knocked out. So that's all I'm thinking, like, okay, is he gonna break my jaw? Like, I'm literally thinking, like, what side is the punch gonna come on? Like, but I'm getting knocked out. Get in the ring, long story short, hit him with a crazy left hook, knocked him out. Right? I'm just telling a long story short. So Kay starts jumping around. Yo, pretty boy. I told you. That's my killer right there. That's little Mike Tyson. He going crazy, man. I take the gloves off, right? I throw the gloves off. I'm telling you straight up what happened, right? We was at the Dole Center. You could map this. You go to Google Maps. We was at the Dole Center on 6th Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York. 6th Avenue and 3rd Street. I throw the gloves off and run. I ran all the way down. It was about a 3-mile run. I ran all the way down 3rd Street straight, not stopping. Went past my barbershop because I was going to the shop. I was like, no, went past my shop. There was a barbershop back. It was real famous back there called Jay Harrell's. I ran into Jay Harrell's. Jay Harrell was like an old head. He was he was but real cool, like old street dude. So I'm thinking as I'm running, I'm like, I'm gonna go to Jay Harrell's. I gotta think. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do because Crow's going to like, oh damn! I said his name again. C is when he find me like
you got
I'm
one
done.
more for Candy Man.
Right, exactly. He gonna show up. Yo, I told you, little FAG, don't you ever bring my name. I run up into the shop and I'm just sitting there like sweat. He's like, what you doing, man? You taking a break? He's like, why you ain't at your shop? And I'm just quiet. I'm sweating. So here come K, C, and a couple other my other crew pull up in a SUV, and I'm in the shop, right? And I'm like, man, and they see the back of my big giant head, you know. So he comes in there, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna beat me up in the shop. Everybody's in here. I'm like, oh God. Comes in the shop, and he just looks at me, and he grabs. Now this ain't even my shop, but this is how he was. He goes over to where the chairs are, to one of the empty chairs. He grabs an apron. He throws it in my face. He said, "Give me a cut." And I'm like, all right, this ain't even my shop.
Right.
I get up, cut his hair, and he was like, "All right, yeah, it look good," and walks out. He didn't pay me or nothing. But it was, so I understood, like, okay, that's we even. So
that's a blood payment.
Right, exactly. He got up, you know what I'm saying? But so K was sitting like, yo, we in the barbershop. Yo, let me tell you what happened though. Yo, pretty boy, you know what I'm saying? He's telling the story all night over and he goes to the store, gets a 40 ounce, come back, tell the story again. You know what I'm saying? So this was big bro. So he always had that, no, you big, you strong. And this is what encouraged me to get deeper into fighting, eventually being able to fight professionally and things like that. But the key is, as gruesome as that scene and that experience may have been, C now knew, yeah, you could be around us. You see, you could be around us. Because that whole pretty boy, he ain't like none of that, because he was ugly as sin, too. Most of his teeth were gone. This man, like 24 years, no front teeth, no hairline. His hair was gone already. His knuckles was all jammed up. It's like, yeah, you only built for one thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but yes, now we done put you in the gauntlet. We done put you in the arena. You can be with us. You didn't back down. Yeah, you ran all the way down here to the, but hey, so that's the thing, man. When it comes to men, man, we have to be accepting and open to those sort of rites of passages, because that was a rite of passage. Mm-hmm. The whole town heard about that, but that was a rite of passage. And that rite of passage forced me into greater experiences. You can get over that fear. Well, who else can you knock out? Mm-hmm. What else are you capable of that this man saw that you didn't see? So now it's how many years later, decades later, seeing him like, yo, I ain't never seen you like that, pretty boy. Like, yo, you go use that membership. Because he knows, like, nah, I've always seen the better in you. Mm-hmm. And no matter how I've expressed it to you, I've seen the better in you and have pushed and advocated for that. And that's how we have to be with each other.
And it sounds like, though, y'all were building on the one. Instead of nowadays, it seems like youth build on the two, which ultimately is like how I feel about it. So if you knock somebody out today, they coming back. Like, because now
to shoot you.
Right.
They coming to shoot you.
Because I can't have this person having a one up on me. It ain't about you, me, us running together and like, oh, you part of me. This is about, nah, you tried to make me look like a fool. And we ain't tried, you did. So now I got to come back and try to get my honor back. As opposed to just saying, nah, man, this person, they ready. Let's go.
Well, because we're all proven at that time. Like, there was no doubt that this man, like, if he wanted to, like, I got that shot off. Yeah. And he was trying to take my head off, which was why also I was like, all right, we're going to turn this up a little bit, but the thing is, we all are secure in our masculinity at that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We all in the gym. We all here. We all diesel. We all know that now we men. And when the story got back to me later, they was like, yo, when he came to, he was laughing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I guess there was like a measure of almost like pride, because mind you, I'm maybe 8 years younger than him at the time. You know what I mean? This dude just came back from the up north. Matter of fact, that day I remember he had on his state greens. He was in the boxing room with state greens on.
He went straight to the gym.
Yeah, he used to always wear his prison. I'm like, might as well, because you never home. You know what I'm saying? But I just remember he had his greens on in. You know what I'm saying? So there was probably a pride, where it's like, okay, now I see that, I can trust this kid. He didn't back down. I mean, how many people probably backed down from him? He woke up laughing, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure was laughing even harder when he felt like, he ran. Like, he threw the gloves off and ran up out of here. Like, he ran all the way down. We don't know where he at. He just kept running. You know what I'm saying? So, and had to ask around, like, where is he? Because I wasn't even where you would expect me to be. So I'm sure they went to the shop and was like, yo, he kept running. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the thing is, it's like, where are you secure in yourself? Like, so even when I jumped in the ring, I was secure in myself enough to say he's going to knock me out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I'm also aware of the pecking order. This cat is one of the alphas. I'm a little pup. Like, I'm trying to get on, but I'm not on yet. You know what I'm saying? But these cats these are the alphas, and I'm blessed to be well. At that time, that's how I felt, because I don't want to get into our business, but there was a lot of things going on that were probably they were not the healthiest, which of course led to this one's in a wheelchair, this one's dead, this one's doing life in jail, whatever. You know what I mean? But the thing I'm saying is that being blessed to be a part of a unit, to be a part of a team, and yes, that team, we have to test to see if how weak or how strong is this chain, and also develop each other where we're weak. You see, so I remember even after that, Kay bringing me back to the gym, like, yo, all right, so now let me tell you the other thing you could have did. Your footwork is for you be dragging that back foot, that. So I think a lot of it starts with knowing your identity and being strong in that. I knew, like, I thought, like, I'm gonna get in this ring, he gonna knock me out, but I'm still me. I'm still fly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you knock me out, but I still look better than you. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have said it out loud, but you know what I mean? So being secure in your identity is so important, because then that's where the love is. So even me running into my brother and him saying what he was saying, it was like, because I got on him about something. When he first got popped years ago, for a while he was working on this fitness video, and he was like, I want to do this video for people who are in wheelchairs. Because he was like, because he's always been in the working out. So he's like, just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you can't still, maintain yourself as best you can. Right. And I got on him about that. I was like, yo, because he actually went to school for film and graduated. Like after he got popped, he moved, he went to, to school, and he was like, yeah, this is going to be my thing. And he never did the video. So I was like, yo, what happened, man? Like, yo, you had some ideas. Da, da, da. And he's like, hey, what happened to you? You know what I'm saying? You ain't so pretty. You ain't so pretty anymore now. So that's the thing, man. But being secure and knowing who we are also helps us to connect respectfully to each other and know how we're being viewed, in that loving way. But sometimes we're not emanating respect. We don't have any self-love, so there's no self-esteem. There's no self-identity. There's no self-determination. And we're only allowing ourselves to be defined by the external. So if you talk nice to me, I feel nice. If you don't talk nice to me, then I don't feel good about myself. And you're the problem, because you're the source of me not feeling good.
Yeah. And it's an opportunity for both of you to grow because you respect each other. So we can both call each other out at the same time and we'll both grow, as opposed to you calling me out and me feeling bad and me using that feeling bad as an impetus to look like, what can I find about this person that hurt them as much as I feel like it hurt me? So it's not even like Achi was building on. It's not constructive anymore. You're trying to destroy it.
And, even the biting and barking back is not necessarily a problem. That ain't really a problem, but it's still, because sometimes that's how you prove things. Sometimes a little deliberation back and forth, it's good. Let's prove where you're really at. Advocate for yourself, because you got to be able to prove your theories.
Like exactly, I'll go rude.
Oh God! How about Aki, Zach, and everybody?
Right. Aki Zach would be at the ice cream shop like with a 6-year-old. So you telling me that Superman is better than Rocky, bro? That's what you trying to tell me.
Rocky Road is my favorite.
There we go. Right. Got pork in the marshmallows. Yeah. How about that one?
Right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Sure thing, brother. Anytime, brother.
If I didn't bring it up, we wouldn't have saved you from the pork.
Right.
Hey, look, brother, I just be trying to get a better understanding of what is going on. That's all.
Don't. Come on, buddy. He be having flashbacks of the football field. That's what be happening. I know what he be doing. You know what I mean? Yeah, because that's how C was with me. One time we was in front of my barbershop playing around. He's like, he just come home again. And he was like, yeah, what's up, man? He was like, man, cut my hair, man. I just came home, man. I'm going out to, it was an R. Kelly party. He's like, I'm going to my girl took me to R. Kelly concert. So I guess, well, he might be in with him now, actually. But so he was like, yo, you looking good, pretty boy. Start slapping. I'm like, come on, man, I'm in front of my business. You want to slap box in the middle of the street. Then he pulls out some brass knuckles.
Oh gosh.
This is how he was, man. He was bugged out. He was bugged out. He pulls out brass knuckles and starts swinging at me. Like we were we slap boxing. Now you got brass knuckles in your hand and trying to hit me with them. You see, these are the guys. See, that's when y'all think y'all got it rough. Y'all don't know what rough is. These are the guys I grew up with. But yeah, man, yeah, we gotta sometimes it's that constant combat, but again, if that's what it is, sometimes you got that friend. I know I did growing up, who always wanted to wrestle. And it's just like that was he was being playful, but he also was always letting you know I can out wrestle you, or I'm trying to out wrestle you. You know, yeah. Sometimes you had that. I saw Margie Marie. She unmuted, and I guess it was too much tough talk.
And yeah, I was over here. Heart started beating. I was like,
detestable.
Savages. In the room. A lot of CMB.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to share something? I'm gonna mute out. Let y'all do your thing.
I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, I'm gonna turned off. All right. Well,
yeah, but a lot of times too, it just makes me think of the need for rites of passage of letting somebody know, like, nah, man, these are just challenges and pitfalls. Because what a lot of people, what I've seen too, is I want to avoid anything that's going to hurt me or anything that I perceive might hurt me. So instead of me even putting myself on the hook for that I might, like you said, I may get knocked out when I walk in. I may win it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm still going to put it on the line. I'm not going to say, you know what, let me sit here and try to avoid everything that I may fail at, because I don't want either my ego to be bruised and people will start to look at me and laugh, or they might associate with me being knocked out. I'm going for it. And so many people just will sit there and be like, you know what? Nah, that's the hard thing, because I just go back and forth with that. If I want to try, but then I don't want to do it because there's so many things that could go wrong, which then I start overthinking and then I don't do it. And it's like, man, that's one of the issues is, though, there's going to come a time you can't run from every challenge in your life. You cannot. The more you keep running, the bigger it just starts to grow. It starts to show in every facet of your life of these little challenges that start to become huge mountains that ultimately could have been just a mound that you could have walked over if you start just facing some of these things. But if you don't want to face it, then it's going to continue to just grow and grow and grow until you're like, now all of a sudden I need therapy. I need help. I need this. I need that. Or I need to speak to Chief because now my family doesn't talk to me. Or I need to speak because I need the consultation, like you said. But if you've been told what to do, but I'm afraid to apply it, because if I apply it, then I might change, or this situation might change, or I don't necessarily. I even know, matter of fact, somebody was like, I don't want to get. I told him to speak to Chief. I don't know if he's gonna tell me I don't need to quit my job. And I need this job, so I'm not gonna speak to him.
Well, then you already got the answer. What you wanted.
or another person that I was talking to, and it was like, yeah, I knew that I was supposed to go get blood work, but I knew that they was gonna say that I probably need to stop eating sugar because I'm pre-diabetic. So instead of me going to get to see where my numbers at and where something's at, I don't feel bad, so I'm good. I'm gonna put it off, or I'm gonna skip it for as long as possible, because I don't want anything to change my behavior.
Right. And then I'm gonna put it on my family to pull my fat behind to the stretcher
when I get my foot cut off.
Pay for my funeral bill because I died young because I wanted to eat sugar cookies.
You know, the thing is, it's like, man, sometimes we're not sensitive to all the things that we have to go through to be what we want. Like birth was something that was difficult that we had to go through in order to be here. You know, there's so many opportunities, man. I think about when Yahshua when they crossed the Jordan, you know, and they had to take the stones so that the next place those stones so that the next generation that comes can see that you were here. You know, so there's always like this sense of like there being something that you have to go through to go from one place or another. But are you sensitive to how it affects those who come behind you, like the modeling that you're showing in that sense? You know, even train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. You know, like that train, the word train means to inaugurate when you break it down. And, you know, from the Hebrew is kanak, and kanak means like to train, but to dedicate and inaugurate. So it's like, yo, like take a child through rites of passage inside of the way. Now, rites of passage, you know, it's going to get harder. Each movement you traverse along the way, there's going to be more of them, but that keeps them like they won't depart later. You know, like, because now they have that formidable spirit inside of them. Like, yeah, man, I've been through something rough before. I can go through something rough again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and sometimes, unfortunately, we don't have. We do have them, but they're not acknowledged. Going to school, the first day of school is a rite of passage. You know, the first day of high school, especially, you know, is a rite of. And some of the upperclassmen will let you know this is a rite of passage, man. They'll chase you down the hallway. Do, you know, some schools, they do stuff like that, like, right? So I think when we don't have that, we don't realize when we're going from one place to another, you know, or like when a child after 8 days it's born, is purified and it's circumcised. You know, all of these different moments and opportunities to go from this point to the next point, and understanding that there's a sacrifice, there may be some pain, but those rites of passage is what keeps you actually on the path. And when you don't invite those or allow them in your life, you drift off. You actually become weaker and you drift off because you need those things. So, like, just like me and Kay talking, we older now. Ain't nobody, you know what I'm saying? We ain't, yeah, whatever. We older now, you know, but we still looking at each other like, yo, you should still be striving. He's in a wheelchair, like, yeah, you should still be striving for muscle growth. He's Muslim now too. So we, you know, we talking about the Quran and where that's going and things that he's doing. And you know what I mean? So there has to be that perpetual drive to be in the way and not depart from it. But that requires constant pushing to, you know, like, and, you know, like to your point of exhaustion, if you will, you know, or the point of failure, you know.
And that makes me think of even the show that was that you did on self-esteem versus self-worth. And now that self-esteem is building from the task that one has actually accomplished, as opposed to just building it on you just gassing yourself up and saying that I am this thing until you come into a challenge. And then all of a sudden you see that you're not what you said that you were, or even trying to use some of these affirmations and wondering why these affirmations are not working, because you're actually not taking the time to go through these rites of passage and saying that, no, because I've done this, and I can look in a history of saying I've did this task, I've accomplished this task, I can accomplish this task. I can do this. And even if I fail at it, then I'm just going to get back up and I'm going to keep working at it until I get it right. But not just, oh, yeah, I failed it once, so that just means I quit. Or, you know, this is why this is not for me. This is why I do things that I'm actually good at. Nah, that's not what that means. That means that you're going to have to work at it. If you want something, you're going to have, and that's like when people say, it's even said that in the Mind, Heart, and Words, that when people say that they come into their awareness that they feel like it's just some flowery experience, you already know then that you got to go back and do that again, because you're going to have to work for this. When you actually get up there, because then you'll start to see that you deserve to be here. But
Right.
if you just think that you're going to put on a costume and get up there and try to rumble with everybody, and when actual punches start being swung, you up there ducking behind a table or hiding behind something, but you up there saying, oh no, but I can swing, my hook is right, everything is good, until it's time to actually get busy. And then you know where to be found. Well, then stop running your mouth and put the work in. You're going to get hit. It's going to hurt. There's going to be times when you're not going to be able to sleep. You're going to have some sleepless nights. You're going to have some when that lactic acid builds up in your legs and you up there running, and all you hear that whistle of somebody saying, run another one. And all you think in your head, I don't have kids, man. I'm not going to make it. Or, like, go see your dad. Like, well, one thing that they would try to make fun of you is if you went to the training room, they were like, go see your daddy. Go see your daddy. Like, nah, but you gonna finish out here, and then you go to the locker room and just lay out. Like, man, I made it, and then everybody else walking in like, oh, what are we about to get ourselves into? But you're gonna have to put the work in. There's no getting around it, or you can't be on the team. You're not gonna make it, because once we get into the game, this is not the time to see if you're in shape. This is not the time to see if you can now take 100-degree heat with all of this equipment on, and now it's 4th and goal, and I need you, and you up here just bent over like, hey man, I ain't gonna make it. Well, show me that so you don't need to be in here right now. Because when you're in it right now, we need to stop. Like, we got to get this done. We got whatever it is. Well, I need to know that I can rely on you, and you're gonna give it 110%, just like I'm about to, even though I feel like my body is about to shut down.
You know, a lot of it is accepting what's given to you from your beginnings. You know, when you read about how, like, Yahushua, when it says that like when Joseph and Mary, it says in Luke, when they performed all things according to the law, to the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee, to their own city, Nazareth, right? So it's like, what are your foundations, right? You starting there. Okay, so these are people who are living by the law. And then it says, and then the child, talking about the baby Yahushua, grew strong in spirit, filled with wisdom, and the grace of Yah was upon him, right? So how do you grow strong in spirit? How do you gain wisdom? This is a child that was going through rites of passage, you know, in order to have that strength, you know, and to even say the grace of Yah was upon him, because he was probably putting himself in dangerous situations. We kind of know that because it says that when they went back to the for the feast of the Passover in Jerusalem, that when they left, like when the feast was over and they left, they said that the boy lingered behind and they didn't know it. So he was and this is when he was 12. By 12, he was able to stand and move on his own too. You know, to the point that, like, so, you know, you talk about a team, like, can you be dependent on? Like, yeah, like, y'all go ahead. I'm here kicking it because I'm strong in spirit and I'm wise. I've gone through my experiences to strengthen myself so that now I don't even need my father and my mother around. I'm in a totally new, different town. And you know, you got to think about the times. There's no cell phones or nothing like that. And this little 12-year-old boy is like, I'm straight. I'm good. You know, so that's, you think about that, man. It starts, there's a formula, you know, like it start with, they performed all things according to the law of the Lord. It starts there. Like, are you living by the law? Because that's where that strength and spirit's going to come. That's where that wisdom's going to come from. But that's also where the trials are going to come from. And if you can push through those trials, then at 12, he can stand, because he's about to be a man at 13. So he's letting them know right before then, man, I'm straight. I got it. I'm good. I got this. Y'all go ahead. You know.
Yeah. And Abaru, did you want to jump in before I?
What's up? This is a good topic. I see y'all, Master Menelik was saying about you and I, Aki Zach and everything. We all
hey, some of them
thing. You know, the rites of passage for us men, it's very vital. And I never knew that certain levels of my life growing up were certain passages. And then, like I said, my last one was with my Baba going over to Nigeria. I mean, I'm thinking I'm going over there to visit him. He's like, no, I got something for you. Come on in here. Come on in here. But the point is, and then, you're scared. Like Chief was sharing about the story. He ran. I ran too. 3 miles. Didn't even know he was. I'm like, I'm running because I don't want to. You don't want to. You're embarrassed, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get knocked out. Okay. We go. Can you do this one? Because I gotta get my teeth done on this side. Can you do this side? I'm just thinking about that when Chief was breaking that down. But just like Chief was sharing about, for us men, a lot of times the womb don't really understand. Yeah, it's great, and this is the part that I love about being in Anu, because it's like, no, they ain't got time to be soft. The world wants to break you down. It wants you to be soft. It wants you, but then you're in this space. It's like, we don't have time for that. We don't have, like Chief was saying, no, I ain't got time for ice cream. You want some ice cream? You want some sprinkles on there? F that. We ain't got time for that. But now, the funny thing about this, I wasn't always talking like this. I'm only saying that because of going through that one last rites of passage, 2017. That was not too long ago. Going over there in Nigeria. all that y'all seeing about me, this was part of that rites of passage my Bible was preparing me. And then again, preparing me before I knew. He knew, even though I didn't know at the time, he knew what was in me, but he knew also that what I needed. And it's like, okay, so I was around these elder men, and Chief knows what happens when you got those elder men, those Ifa men, and like, aha. And it's real, because it's like, whoa, all these for me? But they know what they're getting ready to do. But the point is trusting. And so me being this vocal and everything, I was quiet back then, before all this. I wasn't as vocal as, but what was he doing? He was preparing me for the journey that we're on right now. And that was why I had to go through that rites of passage with him. Even though I went through others with the fire department and everything, but it didn't matter. That one was one of the ones I remember, that being so vocal and being a man. Basically, I use that as an example of being a man, becoming a man at that time. And that's why I was able to, but I'm grateful for that. Was I scared? Hell yeah. You're telling me it's going to be dark? Yeah. They take.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Is that me or okay?
At least it's not a
I
bad
never know.
pose. But the
Yeah.
pose ain't too bad. So
Okay.
Yeah.
there we go. Oh, and now okay,
And
now
now
he
he's on
freestyle
mute.
rap. It look like he about to bust a freestyle.
absolutely.
Yeah, look, I
Wow.
don't think he can hear us. Or
Mic
I
check.
don't
Can't
know.
hear you, Alba.
I don't know what
Wow.
happened.
Yeah, but
Man,
he was flowing.
it's
Though.
mother
I
effing
wish I heard that line.
Yeah.
Wish I heard that line.
I don't know. Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
How about
There you
now?
go.
There we go. All
There you
right.
go.
There
Yeah,
we
my
go.
word,
I
my
don't know what's
lyrics were
going
on
on
point.
with the signals. I don't know what's going on. But anyhow, I was just referring to, I don't know what y'all heard last, but my point is that, like you said, Chief was sharing about the rites of passage is very, very vital. And then again, preparing you for that manhood. And like you were just sharing about, Chief, that in our space, no, we have to be strong. We have to be strong. We have to be, this is a battle. We're like you said, we're at war. They don't want us to be the man that we're called to be by the Most High. They want you to be soft and by the way, Aki Zach and Master Malak, I'm gonna tell you a fact. I'm gonna tell you in a heartbeat. But again, before my rites of passage, I wouldn't have said that because I'm insensitive and I don't want to say the wrong thing. F that, because we gotten so comfortable. So, but there's times I don't say it all the time because I'm like, you know what? Let me address the situation. But no, I was just commenting what Chief was sharing about the rites of passage and being a man, and being in this space means that no, we don't have time. And then again, trusting, going through that moment where you got to go through that. Yeah, you got to get knocked out. Today is the day. Today is going to be your birthday. You're going to get knocked out today. You got to face that. You got to face that fear. You got to face that. Yes, you're scared, but you got to face it. Whereas most times we want to run from it. So I just wanted to add that to the space.
Man, and when I was just listening to Chief when he was talking about the being 12, and it made me think of just surrounding yourself or just shadowing somebody. As we talked about this the other day, of how important that is, of just being around somebody. Which is why I would always say, like, what do you do all day? Like, just tell me what are you doing? Just give me, hey, so I can start to have that into a routine of saying, all right, I'm gonna wake up at this time, I'm gonna do this time, I'm gonna do it this time. I don't know if it's necessarily gonna turn out like that, but at least I know it's a blueprint of what can be done, so that therefore now you start to raise yourself up. And I, while you were talking, I went and looked up, I wrote this down the other day. And this is 1 Corinthians 9:24 and 25. And it was like, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain. And in a sense, it's like everybody is running a race, but are you looking to win? Or are you looking to be just okay with being in the race? I'm just okay with being on the team. I'm just okay with being another number. I'm just okay with that. Or are you looking to say, no, I'm a hit this with everything that I got. I'm gonna give it. I don't know what's gonna happen when I get in this ring and I swing this overhand or this under a hook and it connect. I don't know if he's gonna drop. I don't know, but I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna attack it in my studies. I'm gonna attack it when nobody is watching. I'm running to win the race. I'm wanting to win whatever it is, position that I am. I want to be on the starting position on the field, doing what I need to do. And that doesn't mean that I'm just okay with just being another player. I'm not okay with just saying my name is on the roster. I'm not. That was when I was a freshman. There was a guy, we all went to the playoffs, and I was starting all the way up to the playoffs, and then they put the dude in because he was a senior. He's like, oh, this is his thing, so we're going to switch, and we'll go back to him. So we out there playing, and this team was ranked number 2 in the state, and we're all out there getting it on, and the coach doesn't put me in the fourth quarter. So I'm just sitting there, and I was a freshman, so I was a true freshman. This is on varsity now. And I'm sitting there, and then so as the game, everybody's winning and all of this, and well, everybody's winning. We were winning, and then there's about maybe 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and I put my warm-up top back on because at this point I'm like, damn it, and he was like, Zach, go in, and I moved. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. And he throws somebody else in, and I'm like, you wasn't trying to put me in the game anyway. So then this dude comes up. I'm gonna give his initials was MH, and he was like, "Oh, Zach, don't feel bad. I don't never play." He was like, "I don't get in the game," and that's why I was like, "Dude, you never play. That's not." And I felt bad about it after because I was like, "Oh, that was a little." But again, I'm not okay with just being on a team. I'm not okay with just, oh yeah, everybody. And yes, there is a time though where you can relax, and your position may be to cheer on others on the team as they start to get on. But that's not in me. Like what's in me is now I've earned the right to get on this field. I've earned the right to get on this court. I've earned it in practice every day. When you said that this person was a senior, I'm gonna call him out. Him. Put him right here. It's me and him. I'm gonna show you that I'm better than this dude. Now all of a sudden, because he's a senior, you want to put him out. I didn't understand that, nor do I still do to this day. But nonetheless, it's a matter of, are you going to win the race in a way that you want to gain the prize, or are you just okay with just being in the chat? Are you just okay with saying that, oh yeah, I learned from the podcast? Are you just okay with that? Or are you going to win the race and say, you know what, I'm signing up. You know what, I'm coming in. And you know what, I'm taking Achi Zach's spot. I'm taking Master Menelek's spot. I'm taking Abu Harut's spot. Like, nah, I seen him up there talking and building. I'm coming to get it. But that just means I got to win the race, and I got to put the work in. Now, some people will avoid that because they might fail, or they might know that I might fall off, or they don't want to put that pressure on them because they know it may be just not in you, which is fine. But what's in a man is going to come out of a man. And if you're going to stand up, then you're going to say, see, in this state green, going to be like, what's up?
Come on, man. Don't let that man. I can run like I used to.
You're going to challenge that thought, though. You're going to challenge that and say, all right, let me see if you belong. And then that's what people start to run. Is it in you? That's something that you're going to have to ask yourself, whether you are watching this today, whether you are watching this next month, or you come in sometime years from now. Is it in you to say that I'm going to run in a way that I want to win? Or am I okay with just being mediocre? Am I complacent? Am I okay with just sitting on the sideline and watching everybody else as they start to do things that I think that is beyond me, knowing that I'm not going to put anything on the line to say that I'm willing to step up and grow? Are you a man or a mouse? What's it going to be? And what are you deciding to be in this moment? What are you deciding to be in this moment? So, did anybody have anything else they want to add before we?
No, brother, that was a good outro, if you will, at least as far as I'm concerned.
You punctuated that joint. Punctuated.
Mouse.
All right. All right, here we go. Fridays.
Oh God! Where's the sisters when you need them?
So tag in, please.
There was a video of the retreat with music locked into it. I don't know where that came from. And
Yeah,
how
because
that-
you ain't got no production crew. They be like 3-4 of them back there when they be doing their lives, man. They got a whole team, man, running around with clipboards and everything. We
Hold
just
on, I
here.
got you.
We just
I
got
got
phones.
you. Exactly. 1 second.
Boom.
Boom.
Come on now. But show your face. Like, put something on the line. Put your pride on the line if you think that that's what it is, or put, I'm gonna be figured out, or whatever the case may be. Put it on the line and say, I'm going to show up because I want to grow. And in order for me to grow, I've been running with this costume on, like presenting and pretending to be a wolf. Let me show up and run with wolves, and let me see where I am in the pack, and so I can start to actually make some growth today. Or you can maybe next time, and make all of these excuses of why you can't show up, or why you can't get something done, or why you can't get the time off from your master to tell you that you can go out there and do what you need to do. So, that's the 24th through the 28th, and podcast.
Man, just let it go. You just
All right.
he ain't even said no title, no podcast. 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 Yeah, man.
It's all there.
Yeah, it's all here. What I knew, man. You know what I mean? Just look around. You'll find it if you really want to find it. That's what we're talking about.
Think about it, brother.
You gotta be motivated, brother. Come on now.
Oh, man.
So Sister Naya put in the chat, Master Menelec Tuesdays at 9. Internal study session. Well, you ain't got to tell. They know about that. Oh, here we go. You know how to do it? All right. Internal study sessions Wednesday at 7. Aki El Karad. Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Fellowships at Friday at 7 p.m. Internal Sabbath build. Come on, well, that's internal stuff. If you don't know what we're doing internally by now, then you need to quit. So yeah. All right.
Hey. All right. Y'all
Peace,
enjoy
everyone.
the rest of your day, and we'll see you when we see you. All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank y'all for joining too, man. Peace.